Hey, this is streaming. This is live. I didn't realize this. What's up, everybody? I don't know if it is working or if I'm live or not. Connecting coder and go live. Hey, yeah, I'm sorry, guys. This is going to be a late night stream. Can you guys hear me? I didn't even know that I went live. I was waiting for this to. It is a late night stream. Peace, peace, everybody. Awesome, guys. Today is almost today is the declaration. Okay, so welcome to the stream. I apologize, I didn't know that I was live yet. I will edit this so that it would start at the right time. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm about to go live on TikTok. Today I will be introducing to you many concepts on how the Sunnis debate and how to deal with them. Many people have already known me. The people who have came across my channel are very well aware of who I am and what I do, and they've seen me up against many Sunnis where I cornered them in a lot of what they believe, and then the way that they argued in trying to prove my position is incorrect. I've heard pretty much all of their arguments. They don't come with anything new. So the things that I have to be, do you guys have a dark screen as well? Does it look dark for everybody here? Or is it Benny? Peace. I hope you post this. I won't be able to finish the live. It will be posted. Gotta lock in. Bro, come on. It's 11 p.m. It's fixed. All right, awesome. So today I'm going to be presenting these arguments. I'm going to steelman Sunnis' positions in many of what they say. And I'm going to show you on how the Quran dispels a lot of their arguments. I've had to run through the courses a few times. In fact, I'm going to also introduce to you some new arguments that the Sunnis themselves do not present because, you know, in regards to how the world might evolve. But it's funny how that I can argue for their position more than they can argue, but yet I'm aware of the verses that answer those arguments as well. So the thing is that they don't realize is that their position is so frail and is so weak that they cannot substantiate their claims from the Quran. God is clearly telling us that the Quran is sufficient, that the Quran has the answers to everything that we need in their guidance, and they're so hell-bent to prove that the Quran is not sufficient while they're saying that the Quran is sufficient. So 4 a.m. in the morning, peace. 4 a.m. in Europe. I'm sorry, guys. I understand that this is that this is not the ideal time that I usually come on, but there is a purpose. I'm about to go live on TikTok. There is a purpose for this madness, as some people might consider it, but it isn't. We have to. There is currently right now on TikTok, there's this like huge stream that's happening between a Sunni and a man that grew up as a Shi'i, right? The guy that's a Sunni is Liban. The other gentleman, he's from Sweden. Liban is trying to convince him that, you know, the Shias are upon nothing. And this man is saying like, bro, I don't think your dawah is working well when you want to go and just start to, you know, bash on Shias. So the man, I did talk to him for like 5 minutes. I was like, look, bro, what you were saying is correct, that we should be working on making a community to working towards, like, you know, having a single community as the Prophet wanted, as God has intended. But this man was so hell-bent to talking about the differences and rather than actually building bridges. So me, as a person who believes in the Quran alone, I have absolutely no problem building bridges with Sunnis, Shias, Jews, Christians, people who say that there's one God, they believe in the last day, and that they want to actually, you know, they want to actually accept what God has said and build a better world. But the majority of them, unfortunately, they fall into certain things that they just want to prove that they are the cult that's going to be saved. They talk about sects. Sectarianism is wrong. So welcome everybody who's joining on TikTok. This right here, this position, this stream today is I am going to present to you the arguments of the Sunnis. I will be debating as a Sunni for you guys to see what they bring. And I'm going to also answering all of these arguments that you're going to find these Sunnis bring to you. Answering all, one second, I'm just going to put the topic, answering all the Sunni arguments. Yep, I'm live on YouTube, I'm live on TikTok, and we're about to get started, okay? So we all are aware that these individuals that come up and want to defend the Sunni position, Peace, George. Exactly. How do you pray? So the number one question that, when we tell them that we follow the Quran alone, these individuals like to assume and think that we have never read the Quran. So the first verse that they usually take you is in chapter 4 and other verses in the Quran as well, where God says, obey God and obey the messenger. Now, when that verse is being presented to you, okay, obey God and obey the messenger and the people of authority, there is a very important nuance. The Quran is a book that is extremely detailed, and the language that God uses is extremely precise. The Sunnis, unfortunately, are not people who adhere to the preciseness or to the articulation that the Quran utilizes. In fact, they've taken many words that are used in the Quran and they have changed their meanings in so that they do not fit the Quranic narrative anymore. So when somebody comes to me after I tell him I'm a Quran alone person, like a person who follows the Quran alone as far as guidance, and they come to me, well, bro, I got a verse to kill you. It's obey God and obey the messenger, as if I've never read that verse. And yet these individuals do not take the distance into looking into the Quran to seeing if the Quran answers their doubts. So I'm here to show you how you obey the messenger, which is by following the Quran. Wait a minute. That means you obey God and obey God. There's a difference, buddy. Now, when God is telling you to obey God, God has instructed you in and out of the Quran. How does that mean? What does that mean? How is God talking to you outside of the Quran? You as a Sunni, you believe in something that you call the fitrah, which is the natural inclination to the human being to becoming a monotheist. Now, God also in the Quran, he tells you, and this what I'm doing here is going to be redone into a movie for everyone to see on YouTube, a long content video on how I'm destroying every Sunni's argument, baking them without them even being present because they no longer come around. Because they now want to block and say, oh, we refuted them, but they've never actually answered something. So what I was trying to express is that God has said that even if you multiply the oceans by 7, that the oceans would run out, but God's words won't. And the words that God are discussing there, it's not his infinite knowledge. It's not that every possibility that can occur, but rather the words that he used to program this world. God has said that the human being with the skin that the human being has, that if you stick your hand in the fire, that it burns. You see what I mean? This is by God's design, by his words. So us as human beings, because of trial and error, we have learned that God told us, do not put your hands in the fire. And in the same thing, God in the Quran is saying, do not throw your hands into destroying things, including yourselves at that point. You see what I mean? So the messenger is telling you something, and God has already expressed that thing a long time ago. Now, furthermore, before we get into the verses, God is also telling us very clearly in the Quran that the messenger is here to deliver a message. So who is the one sending the message and who is the one delivering the message and where the emphasis should be? God tells us multiple places in the Quran that the role of the messenger is to only notify or to deliver the message. Now, there is the role of a prophet, and this is where these people get lost in the nuance, and then there's the role of a messenger. Now, a man can be both a prophet and a messenger. These are two specific different duties. God never tells you to obey God and obey the prophet, because if he said obey God and obey the prophet, it is no longer an international message as the Quran is designed to be. It says to obey God and obey the messenger. But to a Sunni, to them it's almost equal. That a messenger and a prophet is pretty much the same thing as Prophet Muhammad. I meant this. Well, God doesn't care about what you are meaning or what you are thinking. God is extremely specific in the Quran. So when he says obey the messenger, we understand that the messenger is the one delivering the message. So what is the messenger telling us, and where do we find what the messenger said? Now, when you ask a Sunni that question, where do I find the words of a messenger? Their first interaction with you is going to be the hadith, the books that is not the Quran. That is where I find the speech of the messenger. In fact, it is riddled with Qala Rasul. The messenger has said. The messenger has said. But then you drag them back into the Quran and you ask them very simply about a single verse that is presented to them. That is the statements of an honorable messenger, and it is not the statements of a poet, which this is specifically talking about one, the Quran, and it is specifically talking about the messenger who is not a poet. So therefore, it is Messenger Muhammad. God is attributing the statements to the messenger while it is the words of God. So here's an example. Let's assume that we have yet to know that Prophet Muhammad is a messenger of God, okay? And he stood up in the middle of his crowd and he said the following words: God is one and he has no equals. Who is the one who said those words? We would say Muhammad said those words. And then Muhammad would say, I said those words, but I've received these words from your creator, the Lord, the creator of the skies and the land. So it is still attributed to Muhammad, but yet his revelation, his source is God. So when God is telling you obey God and obey the messenger, we clearly understand that that is just the Quran. Oh, well, wait a minute. How can it be just the Quran if it's words of God and you're saying it's the statements of the messenger? That's kufr, buddy, because they can't actually debate the topic when God is saying it is the qawl, it is the statements of the messenger. Now, here's a very clear example on how it is obeying the messenger. We can already obey God by recognizing, because of our natural inclination, that me cheating on my wife is a big no-no, or my wife cheating on me is a big no-no. This is a very evil action that we can deduce by the morality that has been instilled in us, that many generations before the Quran has already figured out, that you cheating on your spouse is betrayal, and this betrayal is met with pain, and this pain has consequences. So what is the consequence of somebody cheating on their spouse? How are we going to deduce that? It is not possible for us to come up with a consequence that is fitting to the action that is being done, which is cheating on your spouse. So this is where the messenger told you, you whip them 100 times. You see what I mean? So there's a lot of the religion of God that can be answered by you simply turning your mind on, instead of being a dumb broke Sunni that just wants to talk about Shi'is all day. You just simply turn on the engine that God has given you and you start to use your reason. That's why God says, أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ? Do you not reason? Do you not understand? Do you not comprehend? When God is telling you he brings the water down to make the earth live again, he brings the life again, he's telling you, by the way, that you are going to come back to life in the same manner. Do you not understand? So us deducing from the world in front of us what is occurring and reaching a conclusion, this is truly what reasoning, intellect, and comprehension is. So when God is telling us through our actions that cheating and betrayal is bad, that's something that we can comprehend on our own. But we cannot comprehend that we have to whip him 100 times. You see what I mean? We don't know that we were supposed to whip him 100 times. That's why God sent us a messenger. You see what I say? But I guess that to you is still not enough. You want to still say that obeying the messenger means that there are judgments outside of the Quran. And you go as far as saying that these are the statements of the Prophet. Now, there are many verses in the Quran that starts with Ya ayyuhar Rasul, O messenger. And then there's many verses that start with Ya ayyuhan Nabi, O prophet. When you're a person that is truly caring about the words of God, you would recognize when God is using that term and the story and the context behind it. And when God is using the word messenger, we could clearly see that that is also being used in a certain way for us to understand. Now, one is going to make the argument, the Sunni is going to make the argument, well, there is a verse that says that if you love God, that you would follow me, i.e. the Prophet Muhammad, and that means that this is total following. Okay, so there's a way for you to understand what the word total following means. Unconditional following. I'm going to present a picture to everybody here from the internet, okay? And I want to ask you, is this person following his, whoever you guys are about to see? Just give me 1 second, okay? All right, let me just put an image on the screen for everyone to understand, okay? So this person here, okay? Let me just put this, open image in new tab. I'm sorry that I have to put it this way, because unfortunately, Sunnis have a problem understanding like basic logic, because that's what God tells us about people who become deaf, dumb, and blind. So I'm going to put this on the screen for the people also on YouTube. And here it is. See, ladies and gentlemen, on the right there's a celebrity. His name is Michael Jackson. And on the left, that's someone that's called an impersonator. Okay, he impersonates Michael Jackson. He made his hair the same way. He dresses the same way. He acts the same way. He dances the same way. If he knew how Michael Jackson ate, he would eat the same way. He tries to talk like how Michael talked. He does what he thinks Michael was consistently doing. Now, this man that we see, the one that's impersonating Michael Jackson, is he following Michael Jackson, or is he just copying Michael Jackson? Do you see the difference? So Prophet Muhammad, he had a way of understanding the world, okay? Just like Michael Jackson has a way of understanding the world. Just like Trump has a way of understanding the world. There's individuals that learn the process that this person goes through to deduce his reasoning, his conclusions. And then you follow that type of process. You understand that? So some people, they don't need to dance like Michael Jackson. They don't need to dress like Michael Jackson. They don't need to have hair like Michael Jackson. And they don't need to eat 3 dates when the Ramadan is over like Michael Jackson. But at the same time, they understand that Michael Jackson, because of his words, the lyrics that he was singing about, that he cared for the world in a way that he wanted the world to be a happy place and a peaceful place, to talk to children nicely, to treat people nicely. You see, so you could understand the character of the man and follow his methodology. But that's just Michael Jackson. Let's go to the blessed Prophet Muhammad. When Prophet Muhammad was engaged in situations with his people, with his spouses, with his children, with his elders, with his cousins, with his society, there was always a process that he followed, and so that he would reach a certain conclusion that he would tell the people. What was that process, my brothers and sisters? Sunnis, I would like you to answer that. Do you think, is it because the style that he dressed, or that he ate with his right hand, or that he went into the bathroom with his left foot? Do you think that this was what allowed him to understand how to answer the people? Or here, I'll give you an easier one. I'll give you a hint. Or was it the Quran that God has sent on the blessed prophet for him to say what God told him to say? You see what I mean? So, for example, say that God is one. So we have people in Mecca, we have people in Medina, we have people around the prophet that says God is more than one God. God has daughters. God has sons. There is many gods. You see what I mean? God is a rock. God is a tree. You see what I'm saying? That's what they followed. The prophet said, I believe in one God, so follow me. Okay? Does that mean now he's expecting you to impersonate him? Or do you think that that means now that you have to eat the same way he ate and dress the way he dressed and talk the way he talked? Or does it mean that you're going to think and see the world the way he saw? Okay, perfect. Now let's go bring the Quran back into the narration of follow me. The word follow me is consistently used in the Quran. The verses that I like to take the person to see what it means to follow me. When someone says follow me, it says in Surah Ghafir, okay, the forgiver. There was a man who was concealing his faith. This man was one of the elites with Pharaoh, okay? Him and Pharaoh started to argue. The man said, do you really want to unalive a man that said that God is his Lord and he's telling you that God might punish you? Like this man, if Moses is a liar, then upon him is his lie. Nothing's going to happen to us. But if Moses is truthful, then we might get inflicted with what he's promising us. So what did Pharaoh say? Guys, follow me. I'll show you the way. Does that mean you're going to dress like Pharaoh now? Do you want to eat like Pharaoh now? Do you want to walk down the street pretending that you are following Pharaoh in that style? Because you would not last 10 minutes in that street before you go to jail or you get hanged for pretending to be Pharaoh. Just like how right now you are so keen to pretend to be like Muhammad, yet you're so devoid of who Muhammad is that you have absolutely no more reason. But the man who was arguing with Pharaoh, he responded. You know what he said to his people? My people follow me and I will show you the way. Okay? Do not associate to God. Are you inviting me to associate with what I do not know with God? Okay? So do you see now how it works? The word follow, it does not mean impersonate. The word follow doesn't mean worship. Oh, did I say a word that you don't like? Okay, so now we have to understand what the word worship means. Because the word worship in English is not the same as ibadah in Arabic. Yeah, I know it's a mind-blowing thing for a Sunni to birth this in his head because he was consistently told in English that it means worship. But if you just go look at the definitions in Arabic and you look at the definition in English, this goes back to the disconnect that these Sunnis have forced upon themselves. It's very easy for us to understand the word ibadah in Arabic comes from the word abid, which means servant. So if I am in servitude of my Lord, I am doing ibadah. If I am worshiping God, that means I am exalting God, that I'm loving God, that I'm in so much awe and amazement, and God is the most amazing thing. Worshipping comes from the constant understanding of love and admiration. Okay, that's what worship is. And then there's the concept of servitude. There's some people who worship God, they love God, they think about God, but yet they're serving a devilish cause. So he's doing ibadah to the devil without him recognizing that. Now, can somebody worship money without calling it a god? Tick tock, tick tock. Answer the question, Sunni, because you know that that's where the first question that leads you to you saying, oh, no, I don't do that about the Prophet. But you understood psychologically that concept exists. For you to love something so dearly that you think that it's so important to you that it falls into worship. There's people that worship women without calling them gods. Okay, there's people that worship their cars without calling them God. And then there's people who worship men without calling them God. So at what level does your love for Muhammad end? And at what level does your love for God keep going? See what I mean? Because when I look at the verses of the Quran, the way that you speak about Muhammad is the same way God has explained to me in the Quran that there are some people in the world that they take partners which they love them like the love of God. And the people who love God have even more love for God. And on the day of judgment, that the people you loved and you thought that you were following, they're going to free themselves from you because they don't know you. Now, it brings me back to the argument that is presented to us. That when you say to me to follow the Prophet, there's a limitation in regards to what the word follow means and then where worship begins. So I can follow the Prophet without dressing like the Prophet. I can follow the Prophet without thinking that I'm in 1400 Arabia. See what I mean? I can follow the Prophet by having the morals of the Prophet, but not copying his traditions of how he approached his life. See what I'm saying? But then there's you that wants to look like the Prophet, talk like the Prophet, act like the Prophet, but yet inside it's just an act. Because you are so willing. Yes, do it. Do it. Yeah, so there's a concept for you that no matter what is being said about the Prophet, even if it's not authentic, if you assume that it's authentic, you will go lay your life for it, even if it's complete falsehood that disregards the Quran. So for you to tell me, follow the Prophet, means that now I have to accept falsehood. This is where the verses of God answers you. And this is where now your position starts to crumble very quickly. When God says, those who do not judge with what God has revealed, those are the fasiqun, al-kafirun, al-zalimun. Those are the immoral. Those are the disbelievers. Those are the oppressors. See what I mean? So it's a very serious thing when God is going to call you a oppressor. When God calls you a kafir, it's much worse than you calling me a kafir. When God in the book is telling me that someone is being called a kafir, that's God saying it. Nowhere in the book does God say that if I reject your books, that I'm a kafir. But God says that if you're judging outside of his book, of outside what he revealed, then you're a kafir. Perfect. Oh, well, no. We're going to make the argument right now that the Prophet, he does not talk except from inspiration. So all of our hadith books at Sahih, that's all inspiration from God. Now you have fell into a very bad lie about God. Because the verse that is being discussed there is that he does not talk about except from revelation. It is in regards to what? The Quran. Because there's a verse that says that if he said lies about us, we would rip him from his aorta, right? We would end his life right there. That means he had the ability to speak outside of revelation, but he did not have the right to lie about God. Now we go back to what your hadith states. You're saying that this hadith is also revelation from God. Perfect. I say that the Quran is revelation from God and you agree. But obeying the Quran is obeying Allah and it's not obeying the messenger according to you. But hadith, when it's saying to obey the messenger, yet it came from God, you're saying that that's obeying the messenger. Do you see the hole that you fell in? Do you see the problem that you just encountered? If you're saying it's from God, if I obey your hadith, I obey God. When God is saying obey God and obey the messenger, then the command has to come from the messenger. It cannot be coming from God. But you guys are too basic to understand these arguments. If you're going to put the Quran and the Hadith at the same level that these are inspirations from God, then obeying the Hadith is obeying Allah. It's not obeying the messenger. When God says obey the messenger and the people of authority, he didn't put God and the messenger in that clause. He put the messenger with the people of authority. And he used the word obey twice because the obeying of God is different than the obeying of the messenger and the people of authority. So if the messenger was among us and he's the president of the city, you have to obey him. If the messenger is your husband, you have to obey him. He's a person of authority. If there's the people of authority, i.e. the imam of the mosque, and the messenger walks in, the imam of the mosque would have to listen to what the messenger said. You see the hierarchy? And you see the difference now with what obeying means here, obeying God and obeying the messenger. But now we go back to the point that you need to put in your head. God told me that whoever doesn't judge by what God has revealed, those are the immoral. Those are the disbelievers. Those are the oppressors. Good. Is your hadith ayat? Of course they're not. Because you won't call them ayat. Oh, well, it's... No, God told you to recite what was been revealed to you, right? To recite the revelations of God. To read the revelations of God. And the revelations of God in Arabic is ayah. Okay, it's not hadith. Hadith does not mean ayah. And ayah does not mean hadith. God says the Quran is the best of hadith because it includes ayatullah, the signs of God, the proof of God, the arguments of God, the actual signs that you should be following. See what I mean? But your hadith does not check that category. So when God is saying to judge by what he has revealed, for you to tell me that the hadith books are also revelations from God, not what Bukhari wrote by pen, but what the Prophet was inspired for God that Bukhari eventually wrote down, or those people keep spreading around, that there is judgment outside of the Quran, outside of the book of God, then you have a problem because your own hadith negates that position. Okay, so we then now are faced with another argument from the Sunni. If the Sunni survives this failure, he's going to make the argument that, well, God is talking about two revelations in the Quran, the book and the wisdom. Al-Kitab wal-Hikmah. But this is where you start to fall down into the semantics that you were raised as a kid that does not apply to the Quran. When God is using the word al-kitab wal-hikmah, al-kitab is not the Quran. In fact, the verse that you love to quote, God says, He is the one who sent them a messenger, reciting to them His verses, ayati. What is the ayat here? That's the Quran. وَيُعَلِّمَهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. So now God is talking about the book and the wisdom that is being taught by what? The verses of God. So we have the Quran teaching you both the book and the wisdom. And ladies and gentlemen, at that point, you take them to chapter 2 and you tell them, what did God tell me to believe in? This is right here in the Quran that you believe in, right? He told you to believe in God, the last day. See that? The angels, the book, singular, and the messenger, right? Because what God has ordained and what He commanded you to, that is the book. That is what you're going to be judged with. The wisdom is for you to analyze what God has given you. And God gives you some of the wisdom in the Quran. So what's the book in our case, which is an example that is easy to understand? Do not eat pork. That is a book. That is something that God has written upon you. كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامِ. It has been written upon you to fast. See what I mean? كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمْ. It has been written upon you, on you. So God says that you are not allowed to eat pork. That is the kitab. That is what you have to believe in. Okay, but there's wisdom. What is the wisdom? Because it is dirty meat. Okay, because it is not good for you. That's the wisdom. Okay, so when God is telling you, He teaches them the book and the wisdom. See how they go hand in hand? God is giving you the do's and don'ts, and God is also giving you the why. The why is the wisdom. No, akhi. There's a verse that God says, and this is where they start to run into similarities, that God told the wives of the prophet to remember what is being recited in their houses from the verses of God and the wisdom. But they want to make the argument that this is now hadith, that the wives were receiving this wisdom and then they have to go out and tell it to the people, because the word wathkurna, which you're saying to mention, but the word "dhkurna" can also mean to recall and to remember. Because that same verse that you want to bring to me, it clearly tells the wives to stay at home and do not go out. And that if someone talks to you, to talk to them with intent. They're not going to be the forerunners in the religion to give you the hadith, like how you claim that Aisha did. Aisha's out fighting wars according to the Sunnis when God is telling her that you're not like the other women. Sit at home. Stay put. You're not like the other women. If the women are allowed to go out the way that people go out today, you as a wife of the prophet, you stay at home. But you're telling me it is their duty to tell this wisdom. But now you fall back again on your face. Because the Quran clearly tells us in chapter 17, after God listing a book and then listing the wisdom behind it, do not unalive your kids. We will feed them and we will feed you, you see? Okay? Do not walk in the land arrogantly. You're not going to be as tall as a mountain. Amazing wisdom behind it. You see what I mean? Okay? So, like, fulfill the weight. Be just in the scale, because that is the best kind of interpretation. Wow. It is the book and the wisdom coming hand in hand. And guess what God says at the end of that is what we reveal to you of the wisdom. Okay? So these Sunnis at this point, their only argument is left is to start to attack the Quran, to show that the Quran has not shown itself as sufficient. And in this style of attack, they have two things. To come with a reason on to contextualize the verse to the prophet and say to you that there's a detail missing, like who's Abu Lahab, or that the Quran is so difficult and it's so convoluted that the messenger's role is to clarify the Quran. And they'll run to chapter 16 and they will say, well, the verse starts differently than what they like. It says, with the proofs and the scriptures. And we have revealed to you the remembrance, okay, to clarify to them what was given to them, Okay, so you notice now the language is extremely precise and specific again in chapter 16. It says what was revealed to you, what we brought down to you to explain what was given to them. So the Quran was given to, the remembrance was given to Muhammad to explain to them what was given to them. And we'll let the Quran answer them. We go to chapter 5. When God clearly states that the messenger, right, he clarifies to the people of the book, what were they given? Oh yeah, the verse in chapter 16 starts with bayinati wal zuburi. So it starts with the proofs in the scriptures, which is the other books. And the Quran is clarifying to the other people, wait a minute, that's not what the verse says. Absolutely, that's what it says. Because if you go to chapter 2, if you go to chapter 24, if you go to chapter 12, if you look in the same chapter in chapter 16, if you look in chapter 4, many verses God says, and we have brought down to you clarified verses. Or وَكَذَلِكَ اللَّهُ يُبَيِّنُ آيَاتِهِ. And that is how God clarifies his verses. And let's not go to the verse which you guys like to go and start to play with your swimming instructions and whatever else that you want to do, is that it is upon us to clarify the Quran. See, this is the attacks that they want to keep putting. Does the messenger have a role into identifying to the believers what is being said in the Quran? Of course he does. I'm not a messenger and I'm capable of doing that, assumingly. You're not a messenger and you're capable of doing that, assumingly. But the messenger himself, when he is clarifying to you, it does not necessitate that his clarification had to be preserved. Why? Because his understanding of the Quranic verses, that is a timeless book, is bound to the time that he is experiencing. I'll say that again for the people in the back who are slow. The messenger's interpretation of the Quran is based on the time that he is experiencing. So if the messenger Muhammad was alive in this day and age, his understanding of the Quran would be different than what it was prior, because he would have to deal with Sunnis and he would have to deal with Shias. He would have to deal with American politics and he would have to deal with communism. He would have to deal with the internet and he would have to deal with automobiles. So the Quran starts to present itself as how it needs to be understood in this day. So his sunnah would be different. So God would not preserve the interpretation of one man. God is going to preserve his word that can be understood in every time period, because the Quran itself tells you. And we have struck in this Quran to the human an example for all things. Who's Abu Lahab? Well, Abu Lahab at that point is contextualized to who the Prophet was. Who's Abu Lahab in this day and age? Who's Abu Lahab in your story? Who's Abu Lahab in the overall story? Who's Abu Lahab in the case of who? Musa. It's very obvious who it was, right? Qarun. That's the man that he was so happy with his gold and what he had, and he wanted to oppress his own people. That's the Abu Lahab of Moses' story. Who's the Abu Lahab of your story? Akhi, now we're going to have a problem. Everyone's going to have a subjective take and everyone is going to have their own interpretation, and the Quran is going to be reinterpreted 100 times and it's going to be a lost show. It's not like you have any unity in any grounds that you're standing on currently. Now, when the Quran is being as reinterpreted, there is God telling us that there's people with disease in their heart, that they will have deviations. So your question is answered. Just because someone is a deviant in his understanding, or someone is following a similar verse that he's falling into his own trials and tribulations, God is clearly telling us that it is the believer that is successful. Buddy, if your interpretation is allowing you to find the success that God has promised the believer, then your equation is correct. But the way that I'm reaching the conclusion in my equation, it does not need to be the exact same steps that you did. And here's a news flash. It does not have to be the exact same steps that the prophet did, because the prophet's life is much different than mine. I am not going to be in a position where I am a general of an army, married to however more than 3 wives, that I am also sitting and dealing with people who are completely polytheist, that there is no internet and there is no technology that I have now, while the prophet has also had to memorize the Quran to reveal it to people. His way of life is much different than mine. To think that I'm going to copycat him and make mine work is not how this world works. I'm sorry to tell you. If the president is who you look up to, not everybody needs to pretend to be the president or act like the president or talk like the president. They need to find their position in the cogwheel, in the system, so that the system works appropriately. See what I'm saying? But that's fine. So now we have reached many conclusions in regards to what they want to argue. And God has told us as well something in the Quran, that the concept of messengership is still ongoing. And to them, they like to elevate the messenger above prophet. And if God has sealed prophethood, that would automatically mean that the messengership is also closed. But yet in the Quran, we see the opposite, that the prophet is the highest level a human can reach. And the messenger's role is independent of a prophet's role. If God seals away prophethood, the concept of messengership still exists. How's that be, buddy? How can that even be possible? Who's the messenger of these people? Even if I give you a name, you're going to disbelieve in them. So I'm not going to cause that harm for you. But let's not talk about names. Let's talk about the verses of God. Doesn't God clearly tell you in the Quran, right? Very clearly, especially by word for word, God has made the angels messengers. Oh, that means the messengers are still working. Therefore, messengership is still active. Therefore, it is not going to be something that God will seal. I mean, there's no human messenger. Again, there's a verse that God says that he takes from the angels and from the humans messengers. He didn't say that I'm just going to take from the angels now messengers. If you're saying that that's the case, then God is giving us verses that cannot be used in what we need today. That to you is a verse that has been abrogated and it has no more like you cannot contextualize it to your world. And that's why your view of the Quran is weak. That's why your understanding of the prophet is flawed. That's why you're just a cult member and you're sitting here promoting sectarianism and you're not promoting the message of the Quran. The Quran is telling you something that is extremely easy, which is what the prophet guided his people to, which is what the messenger told you, which is what all the prophets told their people. Serve God. There's a day of judgment. There is only one deity and he is all powerful. He is all knowing. You have to establish the prayer if you're going to follow Jesus, Moses, Muhammad, or Abraham. You're going to have to establish the prayer and you're going to have to give from what God has given you. You cannot cheat people. You cannot unalive people. You cannot lie to people and you cannot sit and cheat people out of their goods. You see what I'm saying? That is the upright religion. Wow. That is the only thing that God is guiding you to. They were not ordered except to serve God wholeheartedly and to establish the prayer and to give from what God has given them. They were not ordered to follow no oral traditions. They were not ordered to fight among each other. They were not ordered to force people into their sects. They were not ordered to sit to think that they have the ability to be gods and cast people in hell or cast people in heaven with absolutely no contextualized proof from the book that God has sent. When God is calling you a kafir, then you're the kafir. If you don't like my position, which is the Quran, then you can call me whatever you want. We have reached a point now that they don't know how to deal with me, that they're going as far as calling me a mushrik. Me saying that the book of God is sufficient is now to them akin to associating to God. Them saying that God has spoken outside of the Quran, which they recorded, which goes against the book of God, to them, if they're lying there, that is not associating to God. When you're saying that God has ordered you to unalive somebody who cheats on their husband and it's not in the book of God, that is not associating a rule to God. When you're going to tell me that Muhammad is omnipresent, well, let's talk about what omnipresence is. If I'm on Mars and I say God knows His presence there. There's a presence for God there. He can hear me. He would know that I communicated with him. If I'm under the ocean and I say God, he knows that I called him. If I am on top of the mountain, in my house, in your house, in my car, and anywhere in the world, God is omnipresent. I have a very simple question to you. If I say, Salamu alayka ayyuhan nabi, peace be upon you, O Prophet, does he have awareness that that was said to him? I don't care how you want to say the communication is done. I don't care what you want to say is the method of how you're communicating to the Prophet, whether it's through an angel, whether it's through fusion, whether it's through quantum fluctuation. The fact that I could do this underwater, the fact that I could do this on the moon, the fact that I could do this at your house, at my house, it means that the Prophet has presence anywhere in this universe. Omnipresence. That's shirk. That is the definition of shirk, giving the attribute of God to someone who is not God. Oh, well, God has the ability to do that, right? And God has the ability to have a son, Christian. These arguments, when you're going down into the lack of reason, this is where you can sit and argue till the cows come home. And in your case, it's till the camels come home. Because right now, your camels are being bombed by the people you're sitting there and going, wow. Yes, they say, Ya Ali, but you unknowingly, you're saying, Ya Muhammad. Oh, no, we don't. We don't call upon, we don't say, Ya Muhammad Madad. You say, Salamu alayka, Ya Muhammad. The word Ya Muhammad is calling upon someone that is not presently physically there, that cannot respond to you, nor can he even know that you called, oh no, our hadith says so. And then I will drag you back into the book that is known as the Quran. And I will ask you very simply, in the mosque, are you allowed to call upon anyone other than God? I'm not talking to you calling someone who's in the room with you. It's very clear what the verse is saying. To call upon someone other than the God in the praises of worship. So if you walk into the mosque and you say, Salamu alayka ya Muhammad, you're breaking the verse. Do you understand that? No? That's fine. Then you could sit with your deaf, dumb, blind mentality that is engineered to push you further into your disbelief. That it is engineered for you to be more of a liar. For you to be so blinded to what the truth is that you're so more concerned about what Ali said or what Abu Bakr did or what Umar said on the night of the 7th of Ramadan of 5 years after the Hijri than what God wants you to do. Are you actually understanding that at the end of chapter 11, and brothers and sisters, this verse tells you one of the most key importance of guidance. God says that he created the humans and the jinns to serve him. This is a verse every Sunni knows. Well, why was the human and the jinn was made? To serve God. Okay. But God says that one of the most things, the reason why he created us is for us to be one community. And God guides whomever he wills, and he deludes whomever he wills. So despite your idiocy, like your retardedness, despite your disbelief, despite your staunch animosity towards each other, I'm still inviting you, put your differences to side and let's work, let's be one community. No, I swear by the God that brought down the Quran that I will never break bread with a Shi'i, because you're an idiot. Because God tells you in chapter 3, right? Oh, people of the book, come to a common word. What's the common word? Let's come to a common word, okay? That we worship God alone, right? And we do not associate anything to God, and we don't take each other as lords. Are you cool with that? Oh, no? Then witness that I'm a submitter. And if you don't, then go with your curse and go with your damnation, because I don't need you. You see, now this is where these Sunnis don't get the understanding of what God is telling us in Surah of Jathiyah. The same surah that says these are the verses of God we recite to you in truth. And what hadith after God and his verses do they believe in? That exact same surah that denies your hadith books as a source of guidance and faith and belief. There's a verse that says that those, right? Tell those that believed to forgive those that don't want the days of God, and so that they would be held accountable, right? So that they would be removed from their positions of power, and so that they would be punished for what they used to do. That's the thing. So, hey, Sunni, would you like to actually start now being a normal human being and live in a society where people have different understandings of Quran? Would you like to do that? Awesome. Then let's work. Hey, Shi'i, I understand you love Ahlul Bayt. I understand. But okay, I don't want to discuss that with you. I don't think what you're doing is right. But are you willing to be normal and live together and build for the future, and whatever happens as long as we're working together? Cool. If not, then go and hit yourself in the wall 100 times. You can keep saying, Ya Muhammad, and the other guy can keep saying, Ya Ali, and I'm just going to sit here and say you're both wrong. And guess what? We will let God judge between us. So these arguments that they keep presenting are going to now start to get a little bit more sophisticated in their minds. They're too dumb. They're too dumb to go to chapter 9. This is an argument that they don't know how to master. And if they mastered this argument, then it's going to put someone in a position for them to have a doubt about the Quran alone. But this is where God tests his believers inside what the Quran says. You guys ready? I'm going to steel man a Sunni argument and defeat it in the same time. Because I've went a lot deeper investigating my own position to make sure my position is done. Something a Sunni has never done. Because if they read through Bukhari and they read through the Quran, they're not going to be able to find a common ground. They're going to have to disbelieve in one or the other. There's going to be clear contradictions. They're either going to say my scholars and Bukhari is right or the Quran is right. You can't have both be right. It's not possible. Okay. But me, I had to sit and make sure that what God is telling me and what the conclusion I reach is from God. And it is not from myself. There's a verse in chapter 9. It says, those that do not forbid what God forbade and what his messenger forbade. How does the prophet or the messenger, astaghfirullah, have the ability to forbid? How is that possible? I thought that the prophet does not have legislation. And that's where you go to chapter 4 and God tells you about the legislation, the limits of God. Those that transgress the limits. Here, it wasn't duality. Those that argue with God and his messenger and transgress his limits, singular limits. So we go back to the original argument of obey God and obey the messenger. This is the only verse where there's a similarity, where one can make an argument that the prophet has the ability to forbid. But then you have 100% fell into a mutashabih, that is not concise with the rest of the Quran. That is like you guys telling me that the prophet told you that if you say La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah, God has forbidden hell on you. Maybe you go to hell for a few days, but eventually you will get to heaven. Isn't that the prophet making now his own legislation? Because God consistently in the Quran says that if you go to hell, you're in it forever. That is where you guys fall into your own shirk. See what I'm saying? So you could go to chapter 9, those that didn't forbid what God and his messenger forbade, which obviously God is forbidding through his messenger in the Holy Quran. We've already covered that argument, but it's funny how you guys never bring that verse up. And then we go now into the concept of intercession, hellfire, and what God says. And then I'm going to show you the similarity verses, the verses that you guys love to say, well, God says in chapter 3, verse 7, that there are concise verses and there's verses that have similarities. But God's telling you the ones who have deviation in their hearts, they follow what's similar of, right? And the people of knowledge will say we believe in it. It's all the truth from our Lord. So you're the one who wants to come up with an interpretation from these similar verses and run with it and tell me that I have to accept your interpretation. Here's one of them. God says that they are in hell, okay? As long as the sky and the land endures, except for what God has willed. See, my brother? Yes, every single Quran verse, it tells you that they are in hell forever, except this one. This one here, it says that they are in hell except for what God wills. That's not what the verse says. Yes. Clearly, it says right there. They are in hell as long as what God wills. Even though they forgot the part where it says, as long as the skies and the land endure, except for what God wills. But the very next verse, or a few verses right after that, God says that the believers are in heaven as long as the skies and the land is enduring, except for what God wills. So if your logic and your interpretation, your exegesis, your ta'wil is right, then there's people in heaven that are going to hell. No, brother, that's not what I meant. But that's what happens when you're somebody who's inconsistent with your aql, with your logic, with what is being presented to you. So this is one thing that you're going to face with the Sunnis, is they take one verse and they will leave it in isolation, and then they will disregard the rest of the verses. Everyone wants to obey God and obey the messenger, yet they do not interpret it in the lights of the Quran. And the verse that actually supports them, they're so blinded to it that they don't even understand what's being said there, which would solidify their second point, but they would still have to disregard the whole Quran. And then we talk about secondary revelations. That's where I would take them there. So for example, right, if Moses said to his people, God orders you to what? Unalive, sacrifice a yellow cow. Why? Because there was a concept of unjust unaliving. Somebody got murdered right there. So God told Moses, revelation, sacrifice a yellow cow. Hit him with the yellow cow. The guy came alive. So now, according to what the Sunnah is telling us, the wisdom, the hikmah, anytime somebody's murdered, we should go find a yellow cow and sacrifice it. That's the Sunnah that was revealed to the messenger at that time. Why don't they do that? So if the prophet is saying to them, for example, God has revealed to me, do not flank them from the right, but flank them on the left. Do you have to obey the messenger? Is that the sunnah? That is the prophet telling their people what needs to be done by what God has shown him. Wow, mind-blowing. Does that need to be recorded? Absolutely not. Is that now part of the religion? Absolutely not. Is this something that is going to affect you? Absolutely not. Is the Quran complete? Absolutely. See? So these conditions and these things that you present, it is always not contextualized to what the Quran is actually saying in light of all the verses. So we can take you now in the same chapter, number 9, when God is saying about him being pleased with those, that God is pleased with the supporters and the immigrators and those who followed them in kindness. To a Sunni, they will make the argument, which their exegesis, like Tabari, does not agree with, that this is telling you not to only follow the Prophet, but to follow the friends of the Prophet, because God has been pleased with them. But they take this verse in isolation and they leave the rest of the Quran. God tells you very clearly, those who believed and did righteous deed, those are the best of the creatures or creation, okay? They have the reward with God, right? Rivers flowing underneath them, right? In a garden that God has promised them. God is pleased with them and he is pleased with them. God is pleased with them and they are pleased with him. It's the same thing. Radiyallahu anhum wa radu an. Oh, that's the same terminology. You understand? That's how the Quran works. When the Quran is presenting to you these Arabic axioms or the terminology or the way that it's speaking to you and it's consistent, then you have to understand it the same way. But by the way, God can be pleased with me right now, this very second, because I immigrated in kindness and goodness. And I am a man that was doing righteous deed. But one day I looked at the Prophet and the Prophet was speaking and he was saying, hey guys, do not write about me other than the Quran. Okay, so let's say the Prophet is saying to his people, allegedly, do not write anything about me other than the Quran. Okay, and me who was doing righteous deeds, and I was a man who immigrated, as the Prophet was speaking, I go, hey Prophet, didn't you say last week not to write but then to write? And I start to speak over the Prophet. God says that will allow my deeds to fall off me if I start to disrespect the Prophet. See how there's conditions to the radiyallahu anhum, how he is pleased with them and he has prepared for them heaven if they stick to the course. Did you know that the Prophet, if he calls upon any other deity, that he is cursed and he has doubled the punishment in life, doubled the punishment in death, and then he goes to hell? Did he do it? Obviously not. But does he have the ability to do so? Yes, he does. He's not an infallible man. Oops. Is that something that is going to be debated now? Absolutely. So these individuals that want to come to you and tell you that the Prophet is infallible, they are also forgetting what the Quran is saying. When God is forgiving the Prophet, when he's forgiving the messenger for his past sins and the sins to come. Okay, his guilts, his past guilts and the guilts to come. When the Prophet is being admonished by God and he's telling him certain actions that he shouldn't be doing because he did them, those are considered also sins. The Prophet at one time, he was misguided. He did not know what the truth is, and then he got guided. But this is where the Sunnis start to fall on their face with the way that they understand the words, which is not how the Quran is saying the words. Like the word wahi, for example, revelation, inspiration. Everything and anyone can receive revelation from God. In fact, some people are also receiving wahi from the shaitan. You receiving wahi doesn't make you a prophet or a messenger automatically. If your wahi, if your inspiration is go say something to somebody from God, that's a messenger. If your wahi is, hey, bro, like feed this person, by an angel saying to you, an angel coming to you from what God has revealed to the angel and saying to you, brother, feed this person, and you feed this person, then you are now also getting revelation from God. But let's go back to the point of dal, the word misguided. That's just somebody who's lost. It doesn't mean that this person is completely a kafir, that he's a polytheist, that that's it, it's the end of the line. Because if you go to chapter 12, which is a nice slap to your face, the kids of Jacob is saying that, hey, Jacob loves Joseph and his brother more than us, and we are more than Joseph. We are a gang. Our father is fi dalal mubin. He's in clear dalal. Does that mean he's a kafir? Nope. But that's how you Sunnis understand it. Why? Because of your indoctrination, because of your falsehood, because of you twisting the words outside of their context. Who did this before? The Jews. The Jews do that. The Jews, they try to change where the words are outside of their context. Subhanallah. Like obey God and obey the messenger. Your number one argument that still has no proof that that means hadith. So there is so many that is being presented to us where actually I want to go back to the one I believe 9-100 where it says to follow them in goodness. They leave the rest of the Quran where the rest of the Quran is telling you that these people, they migrated in groups. So there was the first original group that God is pleased that they immigrated, calls them the believers. That's the first time we see in the Quran the words being used, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, oh who have believed. That was being applied to the people who went into Medina. Okay, the ones that have completed the immigration. And God says to those that did not immigrate that they are hypocrites, that they have yet to believe, that these people are not, these people are like you can only help them in religion, but they're not your brothers until they immigrate. So there's some people that came after. Some people came after in trying to spy and be hypocrites and find the believers so that they would crush the believers. Those people followed them, not in ihsan, not in goodness. While others said, you know what, I gotta leave Mecca and I also gotta immigrate to where the Prophet and the believers are because I feel like that's my duty. I'm gonna leave my home behind. I'm gonna leave my riches. I'm gonna leave my whole world for God and his messenger. And that's what they did. And those are the people who followed them in goodness. Where is that? Surah Al-Hashr. This is literally, it's saying that those that followed them, saying, God, do not put burden in our hearts against our fellow believers. You don't like it? Go ask Tabari. He's saying the same thing. But how did I make my conclusion? It is not because I read your exegesis. It is because that's what the Quran is saying and your scholars agree with these positions. But this is what Sunnis do very well. When they are caught that they are indifferent to you. There's absolutely nothing that even if you say there's one God, they will call you a liar just because you have to be a liar in their eyes. There is no argument that you could present to them, the majority of them, where they would accept the argument for face value and go investigate. Even if it's a Sunni scholar agreeing with the position or interpretation that you got from the Quran, they would deny it just to deny you. Okay? And God tells us that about the Quran. And this is where the most strongest argument comes against the Sunni. Every time a Sunni is presenting to you an idea, how do you know that the Quran is preserved? How do you know who this guy is? How do you do X? How do you perform the prayer? How do you know what the steps of Hajj is? You present what God says in the Quran. And if they say that this is missing, they've committed disbelief. They are disbelieving in what God said. When he says that we've sent a detailed book, that we've sent a complete book, that it is a book detailed with knowledge, that it is an elaborated book, that he has not left anything outside of the book, that this book is complete, that he perfected our religion. See what I'm saying? So, but these individuals will love to make the argument that it is not the case. You see, ladies and gentlemen, their arguments do not have much to stand on. They do not have solid grounds to go to somebody who says that the Quran is from God, that he believes Muhammad is a messenger of God, that he is following the instructions that was left by Muhammad, which is in the Quran, which is the words of God, and for someone to outright call him an infidel or a disbeliever, this man has very little grounds to stand on, because they want to scare you with what they associated to God instead of them being scared of God. And this is what the argument of the Quran says, that they're not scared that they're associating to God. They want to scare you with what they associate. How dare you reject Bukhari? Bukhari is Sahih. Imam Bukhari, rahimahullah, he worked so hard and tirelessly to go through mountains of bullshit just for you to find these gold nuggets that kind of smell bad. How dare you put down this hardworking whatever he is? See what I'm saying? Because their mind is, how dare you reject what I associated that is from God? I'm not saying Bukhari is a prophet or a messenger, but you're saying the text that he gave you is completely authentic, that you used to judge, and that it's revelation from God. And if that is not the case, then that is association. That is shirk. See what I'm saying? I'm not calling you a mushrik to insult you, just like how you say the word kafir to insult me. You say Michael from Tel Aviv to insult me. You say kafir and mushrik to insult me. I'm calling you a mushrik because of your action. I'm calling you a kafir because God called you a kafir. Oh, God says to follow the prophet, and whoever turns away, God does not love the kafir. I've already expressed to you, and you could go watch it earlier on YouTube, what the word follow means. The word follow never meant this. The word follow never ever meant this. This man here, he's not following Michael Jackson, okay? He's pretending to be like Michael Jackson. He's impersonating Michael Jackson. He's worshiping Michael Jackson. He's a celebrity worshiper. He would love to be on the stage and be Michael Jackson. Do you understand that? That's what this man is doing. And that's what you're doing with your hadith books. You want to copy the prophet. You don't want to follow the prophet. And if I copy something, it does not mean that I understood that thing. You're not a walking Quran as you claim the prophet to be so. You're not a person that uses the Quran as your guide as the prophet did. You're not a man that has contextualized the Quran for yourself. You're not a man that is willing to spend hours and hours and hours on the Quran's material, not recitation practice, not sitting there reading hadith books, not arguing about Sunnis and Shias political BS that has absolutely no basis in the Quran. Rather, you are looking at the verses of God and you're seeing how it fits in the world. The Jews said that the Christians are on nothing, and the Christians said the Jews are on nothing, and they're both reciting the books. God, you're a witness, And the Shias are saying that the Sunnis are on nothing. And the Sunnis are saying that the Shias are nothing. Yet they're both reciting the book. Huh. That's interesting, God. I'm seeing the example in my day being presented in front of me in the same types of people. That's very interesting. Oh, the Jews and the Christians have taken their rabbis and scholars as lords. They can't be refuted. Paul, the apostate, how dare you deny him? Huh. These people are telling me that if I don't follow Ali, okay, who is pretty much God to them, that I'm a disbeliever. And these guys saying that if I refute Bukhari, that who the hell am I? They're treating him a lord. Wow. God, that example also fits them. That's amazing. Oh, what's that verse? Oh, it says right here about the people of the book. And when they are invited for them to judge with with the book, they turn away. And they say that the fire will touch us a few days. Hey, Sunni, come here. Come here, Sunni. Let's see what God says about your religion in the book. No, you don't want to. Wait, you have hadith? You don't want to use the book of God? Why? Oh, well, the fire will only touch you a few days. God, that's very interesting. That verse is also applying to those Sunnis. And you want me to follow your religion and you're saying that I have misguidance and I'm the one deluded? I am so thankful to my Lord that he did not make me. And here's the key words, Sunnis. Here's the 3 key words: deaf, dumb, blind. Okay? Blind is the lack of ability to see and have insight. God said that the Jews said the Christians are on nothing. And God is admonishing those Jews. The Sunnis say the Shias are on nothing. And God is admonishing the Sunnis therefore, because God's way is very clear. See what I'm saying? That's insight. The ones who can listen are the ones that when they hear the argument, they're capable of following it. It's not like I'm talking to you and you're silent. And are you done? Did you hear what I said? Can you repeat what I said? Are you done? Obey God and obey the messenger. How do you obey the messenger? How do you obey the messenger? How do you obey the messenger? Muhammad. How do you obey the messenger? How do you obey the messenger? Muhammad. That's how you look deaf to me. And then finally, the dumb. The arguments that you present, the same people who gave you the hadith are the same people who gave me the Quran. The same person that gave me the Quran is God, is not the same person that gave me the hadith. Because God is the ultimate isnad of the Quran. God is not the ultimate isnad of the hadith. I don't need names after God to prove that the Quran is from God. You need a chain to prove the hadith is from the Prophet. That's how stupid your argument sounds to a Muslim. How do you know that the Quran is preserved? God said so. Oh, that's circular reasoning. You Muslim said that to a Muslim. Me invoking the Quran's words is circular reasoning to you. So let us now go listen to the word of man, okay, and Orientalists and Sunnis and Shi'is to prove that the Quran is from God. As if God would not prove that his book is from him. That the language that is being utilized, that the ideas that is being presented to you, that the perfectionism that is found in this book, that the structure that this book is built upon, that the mathematical equations that people are finding, the scientific breakthroughs that this book is presenting, this book being timeless and applying to idiots like you, this is not enough proof to you. You want me to say because it went from one guy to one guy to one guy to one guy? I don't need any of that chain for me to know that that book is from God. You see the argumentation, how it flows easier when I allow God to speak instead of you trying to make me believe it because you said so, or not you, the guy before you said so, or the guy before him said so, or the guy before him and the guy, and then it reaches the messenger. There's absolutely nowhere in history, and that's how people ever took authority and validation that way. I have no idea what my father told me before he passed away. I can sit here and try to write some things down of what my father said, but I will not remember it verbatim, nor is my father around to correct me if I'm wrong. See what I'm saying? You're not only taking it from the first person, you're taking it from the fifth person, while the person before him is barely alive anymore. And the person before him is not even there. Khalas. He cannot even stand for himself. That is not religion. But it goes back to what God tells us in the Quran, if you read it. He has placed a veil on their hearts lest they understand it. Akhi, how can I understand the Quran without hadith? The hadith explains the Quran. Because there's a veil on your heart. But I bet you didn't even try. I bet you didn't even open the Quran in a language that you know and try to read it. You didn't open the Quran and try to read it in a language you understand. And instead of saying, oh, well, how does this apply to Muhammad? How does this apply to Muhammad? What's the reason for this verse to be appearing in front of me now? Instead of going through that kind of dumb questioning, why don't you go, how does this verse apply to me? How does this verse apply to my people? How does this verse help my people? How does this verse help me? Maybe you should approach the Quran in how God intended it. As he says, it is a healing for the what? Chests, O Sunni. You are a disease to the chest, O Sunni. I swear as God is my witness, when I go talk to Salafis, just judging from their eyes, okay, so I'm a person that loves body language because I believe it is a way that God has allowed us to see the signs that God has created in the human for us to understand the intentions of the human. So everywhere I go in the world, when somebody doesn't like what is being said, they have the same actions. When somebody's getting angry of what's being said, they all have the same action. When somebody's going to gesture, it's always like the same actions. This is something that is built into the humans, and it takes you to recognize it, to try to conceal it, and it's very hard to conceal body language. The majority of communication is by body language, and it's international, except there's certain things that are cultural, but the majority of facial features, it's not something that you could change. See how that expressed something to you? These are signs from God. And when I'm looking at a Sunni and I'm talking to a Sunni and I see his eyes going, he's not there. He's not capable of listening. This is a person who's a shirky idea is taking him and a shirky idea is bringing him. See what I'm saying? See what you see? And this is exactly it. Like these guys come in the middle. So you completely ignore the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Yeah. Shaitan. See, when I'm telling you I'm following the Prophet in the way the Prophet is being presented, they want you to follow them. Okay? And the Sunnis say that only Sunnis go to heaven. And the Shia say that only Shias go to heaven. And the Christians in the Quran say that the Christians only go to heaven. And the Jews say that only the Jews go to heaven. Would the Prophet walk around and say that my sect is the only one going to heaven? Do you really think that he would say that when God in the Quran is telling you that the Prophet is free of anybody who's dividing their religion? You're dividing your religions, O Sunni. See what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? The amount of shirk that Salafism is committing is unattainable for somebody who is blind. So when you're constantly saying the word Salamu alayka ya Muhammad, expecting a return or him hearing you, this, as I expressed to you, is omnipresence, but it doesn't stop there. When you are going to say things like that, God has written text for you outside of the Quran, and it's the verbatim speech of God, called Hadith al-Qudsi. And if God never uttered those words, you have taken those words and you have associated to God. When you want to say that there is intercession on the day of judgment, there is intercession being done by humans on the day of judgment, you have taken an idea and you associate it to God. Here's the proof. Here's the proof. You ready? The man that said that I don't think that this world is going to get destroyed, and if I go back to God I'll find better than it. He said, I wish I did not associate anything to God. He was associating the idea that there is no day of judgment to God. God says, woe to the mushriks, the ones that do not give from what we gave them, and they are disbelieving in the hereafter. So there's many things that are akin to shirk. And now the scariest one. Sunni, if you have any ears, I want you to calm down on the comments for a bit and listen to this, okay? God says that the devils will inspire each other to debate you. And if you obey those devils, you are a mushrik, okay? Remember this. The devils inspire each other, and if you obey to argue with you, and if you obey the devils, you are a mushrik. And by the way, God says that the devils of the jinn and the ins, they Also, what do? Inspire. Yuhun. They inspire each other. زخرف القول. This eloquent speech to argue with you. And these are the enemies of the prophet. So, and God tells us that when a messenger or a prophet makes a wish, the devil, he throws in his wishes. And then God, he transcribes what the devil said or what the devil threw. And so that what? It is the people with the disease would follow what the devil said. While God perfects his verses and so that he would save the believers. So your Bukhari book is literally from the wishes of the devil to take away from the book of God. And the one who has disease in his heart, he's following a book that was a wish of a devil to take away from the book of God. And those who are strong in faith and love God and rely only on God, know that you're following a book that is designed for oppression, division, anti-God, and anti the messenger. Okay? He is not a man that is going to marry a 6-year-old. See what I mean? He is not more forgiving than God. When God puts you in hell, the messenger is not going to rescue you from hell. See what I'm saying? He's not more merciful than God. Muhammad is not going to go around and lie to you with a white lie. I'm better than all the messengers, but Moses is my superior, but I'm lying to you because I'm humble. Abraham, in their hadith, Abraham is the best of creation, but I'm just humbly lying to you. Yeah, in the Quran, when he was shy from the people, when he's showing shyness and saying that, hey, hold on to your wife, and God says, no, you're supposed to say the truth no matter what, you should go marry her as you intended to, that is one we know that you guys just make up lies upon God. Ladies and gentlemen, the arguments that they present is very weak. The arguments that they have makes no sense. They're arguing against the perfection of the Quran. They're arguing against God's preservation of the remembrance. Do you think that they are the ones who preserved it? They argue against the clarity of the Quran, that they want to show it that it is a convoluted, that it is a scary book, that only a very few can answer or understand it. They argue that God is not as merciful and as forgiving and as understanding as he is. They argue against all that. They argue that sectarianism is something that is what the Prophet ordered them to, when God, he's saying that sectarians are mushriks. Another reason why Salafi is a mushrik. Because the Prophet was not a Salafi. He never called himself a Salafi. You call yourself a Salafi. The Prophet never called himself a Sunni. The Prophet never called himself a Shi'i. You do that. That's your bid'ah. I don't call myself a Qur'ani, a Qur'anist. You call me that. You're the ones who are busy about labeling not only yourself, but labeling others what God has not permitted. See what I'm saying? But then we can dive into your favorite scholars now. You see, now we have answered your arguments. Do you want to go into attack mode onto the Sunnis and present you arguments from the Quran and outside of the Quran from your own books, which shows that your religion is disgusting, it's oppressive, it's anti the system of God, it's anti the messenger, that is not based in the Quran, it is not based in proper morals, it's not based in logic, and it's not based in reason. And Abu Huraira, if he was an actual person writing and saying this stuff, is probably the first one who's going to be put in hell from this community, from the amount of lies that he said about the messenger and about God. But you follow that. Remember that. He is, Abu Huraira in my eyes is akin to Paul the apostate. Oh, how dare I say that? I have the right to say that based on what you told me. I don't know who Abu Huraira is, but I know what you guys say about him. He is the man who opted to stay in the mosque when they went for war. See what I'm saying? He's the man who opted to stay behind when they went for the war in Medina. Oh, brother, he was staying behind because he was memorizing hadith. So the Prophet who was memorizing the Quran, teaching the people the Quran, he was not worth staying behind and him being protected and everyone else go fight. The Prophet is out going fighting, but Abu Huraira is going to sit at the mosque. Who's he teaching the religion to? Who's teaching him the religion when the Prophet is on the fourth? He's a forerunner. He's at the front. Why is the hadith books that you're presenting to me, Abu Huraira and Aisha are going neck to neck constantly? Abu Huraira is putting down Aisha and Aisha is putting down Huraira. It's like the two Marvel superstars that hate each other on who's the best hadith narrator. Oh, I was around the Prophet and you were busy making your makeup. You only knew the Prophet for 3 years according to Abu Huraira sources. Why is Umar wanting to beat up Abu Huraira for narrating things that the Prophet has not told him to narrate? Because Abu Huraira was so keen on being an idol, which you guys take him as such. He didn't want to say that I'm an idol, but he felt that he was so important that he narrated all this nonsense. Does he narrate Israeliyat? Yes, he does. That's what you say. He knew the Prophet for 3 years and he only narrated 5,000 hadith for you in Sahih Bukhari. The majority of it. But the man that stayed with the Prophet his whole life, he only gave you like 200, 300 with no legislation in it. But Abu Huraira is giving you all this legislation. Adam was a mountain. Adam was as tall as buildings. And humanity was decreasing until it became little and then it stopped, which is not true. Oh, the man's sperm is this and the girl's boobies are like this and girls are crooked and you sound like most of these Arabs I meet in Dubai where they just run their mouth thinking that they have this stance in the world and all they do is corrupt. And when you ask them what are you doing, they're saying, oh, we're just being good people, right? And now here's the argument that destroys your Sunni position in regards to narrations. This argument which I say that you guys never answer. Two verses destroy your position and no Sunni can argue. 1, these are the verses of God we recite to you in truth. And what hadith after God and his verses do they believe in? Is there hadith after the verses of God? Do you see those verses? These hadith verses, where? So if you're saying the hadith is part of the revelation, call it ayat. I dare you. It's not our convention. It's because God didn't call it ayat and you don't have the gulls to call it ayat. 1. 2, they only follow conjecture. And conjecture does not avail the truth in anything. So your hadith book do not add or change or improve the Quran in any way. Because the Quran is 100% truth, guaranteed by the most reliable source, the giver of truth. Your hadith book is, I think, Abu Shahata said so. Father of a slipper. Father of a donkey, father of a kitten, father of Humayra, I don't care, father of Bukhaira. Who the hell is that man? Oh bro, how dare you? Who the hell is that guy for me on the day of judgment? Who is this man gonna come and rescue me on the day of judgment and tell me that he has something to add to the book of God that is gonna improve and explain this amazing book that completely destroys you? Those two verses, just answer those. Those are the verses of God we recite to you in truth. Which hadith do you believe in after God and his verses? Show me which hadith you believe in. And 2, they only follow conjecture. You know 100% your hadith is conjecture. It is not 100% from the words of the Prophet, revelation of God. It is conjecture. That's the end of it. But by the way, there's people who heard the messenger, who are Sahabas, who would contrive other than what you said during the night. They would hear what the messenger said, they don't like it, and they go change it at night other than what the messenger said. There's people that were narrating about the Prophet that never met the Prophet. And then those people would go to a people that never came to you, as God says in the Quran. They're listening to a people that never came to you. And they're talking about the religion and about what Muhammad said. Yet they never met the Prophet. Oh, but those people are reliable. Of course. Who knows? Maybe their hadith seeped in. Oh, by the way, what about the hadith that the best hadith that's in the Quran that says, oh, do not stay in the Prophet's house, right? And trying to engage in hadith with the Prophet because that hurts the Prophet. Look at you hurting the Prophet with your hadith books. Look at that verse being contextualized right now in this day and age. Stop trying to get hadith out of the Prophet because it hurts him. Look at you hurting the Prophet with hadith. Excellent. What about the people who set up a mosque in regards to dividing the believers and fighting the messenger? And they thought they were believers. You don't think their hadith is circulating? No, brother. We have the best filter system. What's your filter system? Bukhari and Co. That's not a filter system. That is not God giving you the authority to do so. This is not the Prophet saying, yes, I did say those words. If you make one claim, according to you, by the way, this is your hadith right now. This is internal critique of your own nonsense. You say that the Prophet said that whoever says about a lie about the messenger, about Muhammad, attributes a lie to Muhammad to prepare himself a place in hell. All you have to do is repeat one lie about him, okay? And attribute that lie to Muhammad. For example, marrying a 6-year-old, okay? Which is clearly a lie. Clearly a lie. Because it's against the Quran. If you're going to repeat that according to your hadith, you just placed yourself into where? Jahannam. Finnar. That's where you put yourself in. Excellent. Excellent, ladies and gentlemen. 1 second. I'm getting instructions. 1 second. No. Yeah, if someone is making those kind of comments, remove them very quickly. Yeah. 1 minute. See, ladies and gentlemen, when I get to speak as I want to speak, they don't have the ability to do so. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, the Sunni's position is based on bullying, narcissism, oppression, and mob mentality. They think that these numbers is what's saving them. They love to paint their tongue into trying to express into something that is so beautiful. But when you start to deal with them, you realize it's only because you're part of their club. And their club is waiting for you to make a mistake to devour you. See what I'm saying? And within themselves, they have so much division that all you need to do is to take two Salafis. You take two Salafis, put them in the same room, okay? Allow them to talk about religion for 30 minutes. And by the end of 30 minutes, those two Salafis in their mind will say there's only one Salafi in this room. Do you understand me? If you take two Salafis and allow them to express freely their religion in a room for about 30 minutes to an hour, by the end of it, both of them will say in their mind there's only one Salafi, and they will start to pretend to the person in front of them with their fake akhlaq. Do you understand that? See what I'm saying? You see? So when I am sitting here promoting them to say truth, to come back to the word of God, their answer is very simple. Look at this. Muhammad from Tel Aviv. This man, he takes it something lightly, a rumor, right? Something where we're just joking and jesting. We are just trying to rage bait him. This man has been speaking about Sunnism. He must be trained by Tel Aviv. He must be from Tel Aviv. May God curse me. May la'natullah alayhi if I was trained in Tel Aviv, or if I'm from Tel Aviv, or I have any Zionist agent, or am I reporting to any Zionist? That's one. And how about if may God damn you if you're lying? But let's not go down to the row of mubahala yet, because the burden of proof is on you, buddy. You don't have to prove it in this world. You're going to have to prove it on the day of judgment. And you're a Sunni that says this, right? That if you're going to be eating from me, this is their hadith books, ladies and gentlemen. You ready for this? This is what you use against them. Watch. If you're going to be taking from me my right and you're hurting me, I'm going to be taking from your credit, right? Whatever good you did, it starts coming to me. So keep calling me Michael from Tel Aviv. Keep insulting Michael, the angel, the one that was given the name Michael, but you're calling him a Jew because you don't like the name, me having the name Muhammad, which, you know, my parents, they picked for me, but apparently that's not good for you. That you decide my name is Michael as an insult. Excellent. Just like how you Sunnis have no insight. When you want to say F Israel, F Israel, Israel, F Israel, right? To hell with Israel. Makes Israel, as you guys like to say. May God damn the Zionist in the system of the Zionism. I have no problem saying that. But I would never insult Israel. Why? Not the country. They named their country after a Muslim prophet. So I am not going to ridicule the name. Actually, whoever curses the name Israel, he gets cursed. So may God damn the Zionist and I am Israel. How's that sound for you? So whatever they want to contrive in their books, I can read their books and I can apply it to me because I'm a believer. Just like how Israel was a believer. But you Sunnis are too weak to defend your position theologically against the Jews. You want to say the Jews are the children of Israel and you guys are Muhammad. Yeah. See how it's done? When you guys want to save bad names like Michael from Tel Aviv or F Israel or put names like David down and make fun of those names, God loves those names. You don't. I know to you that's Jewish name. Moses was a Jewish Muslim. You guys heard that one before? Moses is a Jewish Muslim. Because they fell into their own lies. Just like how their scholars like to write their nonsense and they bought their scholars' lies, they bought the lies of the Jews as well. So when God says child of Israel, it is the seed of Israel. He didn't say Jew. Jew is not a race, but to them it is. Because that's what they've been told. They don't judge with the Quran. They don't use the Quran as a book. They want to call the person who judges with the Quran a kafir. Listen to my scholars. And then they fall into their faces. And now they're being beat up. They're being the lowest. They're getting bombed from themselves. They're being torn up. They're being taken as jokes. They're taken as fools. They're the smallest in the world. They can't do much. They celebrate when the devil fights a Shi'i. They celebrate when the devil beats up a Sunni. You see what I'm saying? They're so weak and they're such cowards and they're so afraid of fighting and they're so afraid of saying the truth and they're so afraid of the book of God. They are some of the weakest communities in the world, and that's my people. That's where I grew up. So you can't tell me I don't know. You are from the weakest, most egotistical, most boastful, most backwards communities that is present. Europe, who did not have the Quran, was getting along fine with trades because the majority of the population was not trying to rob them. The people from the Levant who ran away from their own dictators and their stupid systems, they started to go rob people in Europe. And Europeans are saying that this is not how we are. Yet you guys came with the Quran and saying, hey, Sunnism is the way. See how God humiliates you all over the world? Because you're a mushrik. You're committing shirk. You're not going to find the victory. Jesus is not coming for you. You're not going to get your countries back. You're not going to find the Khilafah. The Khilafah was taken back and it doesn't come back. If you guys just open the Quran and read it, you know, when God removed the Pharaoh, Pharaoh ain't coming back. You get it? Pharaoh at one point, the Egyptian kingdom at one point was loving God, was dedicated to God, and then they fell into idolatry. Pharaoh is no more. You see that? The community at Noah, at the very onset, was established by a prophet. They believed in one God. They believed in the day of judgment. They were good people until they didn't. And then Noah came, and those people go, bye-bye. No more. That's it. No more superpower. You see what I'm saying? Ad, same thing. They're not coming back. Thamud, they're not coming back. The Ottomans, they're not coming back. Your Khilafah is not coming back. No matter how much you want to twist and turn, if you do not go back to the book of God, there is nothing that is going to bring back what God has removed. And why was the Khilafah removed? Why was the Ottoman Empire removed? Why was the Abbasids removed? Why was the Umayyads removed? Because they were oppressors on the land that they did not care about the word of God. Why is the UAE eventually going to be removed? Why is Saudi Arabia eventually going to be removed? Why is America eventually going to be removed? Why is all these countries eventually going to be removed? Because these are nations that do not judge by what God has revealed. They don't care about the orphans. They don't care about humanity. They only care about what they get, and they think they're larger than God. And when God removes a nation like you never come back. That's what God says. That's what the book says. So keep crying over your Khilafah that ends up just being another form of ISIS, okay? Because you think that you need to take it by the sword. When God is sending a book about humanity and standing up for the truth, you want to force people into your religion and kill people that don't agree with you. So your Khilafah is based on lies. That's not how they did it. That's not what the truth is. That part of history you are not aware of because there weren't Sunnis at that point. That Shafi'i didn't come around and say Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. When Omar said something, there was no Jama'ah at this point, you understand? But I don't think you guys, I think this is too far for you to ponder upon because we can't even get past of obey God and obey the messenger. For the 15 years that I've sat here and I torn you guys apart for you, lest you listen, you guys can't get past obey God and obey the messenger. You think that means khalas, go divide. That means khalas, there's other books. That means that the Quran we put to the side, we forsake it and we go with all the other nonsense that we find in the world. Guys, I just ripped you apart. I just put you to bed. I just put you to sleep. I just opened the covers and I tucked you in and I gave you a night story and I put you to sleep like a little child. Keep working towards something that God told you will never happen. Keep thinking that the whole world will become Muslim when God said that it will not happen in the Quran. If God willed, He would have made everyone a believer. But the word has been fulfilled by me that I'm going to fill hell with humans and jinns. But you think because of your hadith books, everybody's going to become Muslim. Everybody will be rich. I can't even give sadaqah. God says very clearly that if He made wealth easy in the land, you guys would become more oppressive. You guys would hurt each other even more. But no. There's going to be a time where the Quran is completely false. Everybody is believer. Okay, everybody in the world is believer. Everybody rich. You can't even give sadaqah and peace all over the world. And Dajjal dead and everybody happy and the Quran disappears. Bro, God does not need to make the Quran disappear. You guys forgot the Quran already. There's no point of removing the Quran from this world because you guys never use it to judge. قال الرسول قال عمر قال أبو بكر قال علي قال حسين قال معاوية قال يزيد قال الشافعي قال القرطبي قال الطبري. Should I keep going? There's قال الشافعي. Let's go. قال ابن قيلون قال ابن شحاطة قال أبو هريرة. That's all we hear from you. قال Allah? No, bro. What do you mean? Who are you to use the Quran to judge? Guys, I'm here to show you. This is it. This is the time where we are reaching to a world war. It is incumbent upon me, okay? It is my duty as a man who was shown the truth in the Quran, along with every brother and sister that has been shown the truth in the Quran. It is a duty upon us to take this book and tell you what was said so that I am not cursed with you. So that when the bomb starts to drop on your head, I'm saved. Okay? When you guys are gonna go to hell, I'm saved. Because I didn't choose to be scared of you. I didn't choose to be quiet like you. I didn't choose to twist my mind to give credences to bullshit. Sorry for the word. I don't mean to curse. But this is how frustrating it is. You would twist the verses of the Quran, right? You would change something that is plural to singular. You would change who is being discussed. You would twist the verse outside of its place to give Abu Huraira, to give your imams, to give somebody some credence that has absolutely nothing to do with your religion. And then you look like a fool, homie. Any questions? Any questions? So that's it. That's my hour and a half rant of the majority of what they present to you. The majority of what they present to you in arguments is very easy to answer from the Quran. It does not take rocket science. I'm not a rocket scientist. Okay, what I'm saying? I'm not the specialist of the Arabic language. I'm not a man that has the intricacies of every word in Arabic, what it means. But their argumentation, as God says, that they argue with falsehood to cancel the truth. I am simply a computer programmer. I am from the generation that had to, by force, be taught logic. My parents' generation were not as logical, and this generation, Gen Z, they're not forced to be as logical as we were. I'm talking about the 80s kids, 90 kids, and early 2000. where we were having to use these machines that forced us to understand Boolean logic. And the people who have even dived into it and understood how this machine thinks, it teaches you a way of thinking that dominates all other schools of philosophy. Yes, Boolean logic can dominate every other school of philosophy. That is why a computer program can take accounting business logic and make an accounting program. That's why a computer program can drive a car. That's why a computer program can answer doctor questions. That's why a computer program is better than a librarian. That's why a computer program is better than you as a calculator. Any type of logic you throw at it, it can understand it. It can simulate it, and therefore the components that is available for the computer in regards to logic, it dominates every other type of logic. See what I'm saying? Aside from what God has revealed, of course, but from what we know. So we were forced to be logical. When I opened the Quran, I didn't say, how did this verse apply to Muhammad? I'm saying logically, okay? Logically, how does it apply to me? God says in the Quran, and I love this verse because this verse is truth. See, it's truth. When Joseph reached his maturity, we gave him knowledge and wisdom. That is how we reward the righteous. So here is your computer program. You ready for this? This is the computer programming now for you. If righteous, then rewarded wisdom, logic, wisdom, knowledge. Okay? So here it is. So that's the Boolean equation. If here is, are you righteous? Is that true or false? If it's true, you're given knowledge and wisdom. That's how it goes. Okay, there's another verse. If in catastrophe, those who say, right, to God we belong, to him we return, then they will have mercy from their Lord and prayers like from him or blessings from him. Okay? And those are the guided. You see now? So we have a few conditions. If these conditions are marked as true, then the conclusion will always be true. You can't say that there's an exception when God did not present an exception. So when God's saying these are verses of God we recite to you in truth, in what discourse do they believe in after God and his revelation or his signs or his verses? So now we put that into computer program. Okay, so we have the concept of faith and hadith. Do you believe in hadith other than the Quran? If true, then you failed. If false, then you're successful. And then you go to the next logical point in the program where you have to make a decision. You see what free will is? You making a decision. God gives you the answer. You don't like God's answer? Go try whatever you want. It's not going to be accepted by God. How difficult is that? How difficult is that, guys? How is that so difficult? Like, God is giving you the conditions. God is giving you the results. Here, I'll give you, how do you pray, bro? How do you pray? This is the first, how do you pray without the hadith, bro? Because the Quran is telling you. Oh, no. How many rak'ats? Because prayer is not about rak'at. How dare you? Do you want to hear the answer from God or not? God says in the Quran that the prayer stops obscenities and immoralities. You see that? Because the remembrance of God is greater. So if remembering God and therefore stopping obscenities and immoralities, therefore you prayed. Oh my God. He cracked the code. He cracked the clear logic that's in the Quran. The prayer stops obscenities and immoralities. God says that you perform the prayer for the remembrance of God. If I am reading the verses of God, that is me remembering God. And if I do this consistently, the times that God has told me to do so, the result is I no longer want to smoke. I no longer want to play with my pee-pee. I no longer want to watch pornography. I no longer want to drink. I no longer want to insult you. I no longer want to sit and have negative thoughts about people. I no longer want to oppress people. I no longer want to steal. I no longer want to defend falsehood. Why? Because I'm remembering God. Like, hello? You see how the equation, how do you pray, bro? Isn't that crazy, guys? How easy this is? Exactly. There is no messenger without a message. What is Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, as they want to say, his message? Only Quran, bro. Easy, guys. See, true, I did quit smoking. Bro, how do you pray Taraweeh? By following the best bid'ah that Omar gave. Yeah, I'm gonna start taking questions and answers, but this is pretty much the conclusion. I know there's some more arguments that they probably would bring up, and I am going to make a more comprehensive streams into answering, so that you guys have the tools, so that you guys can pull it up and show them the verses. But here's the thing: the conversation will not go that far. See, deaf, dumb, and blind, there is no conversation. There's just sit, repeat. No answer questions, no answer questions, no answer question. Repeat. Hey, I won. I cooked him. I cooked him. Where can I save this live? Ace 3. It's on my YouTube. The YouTube is the same name as this channel that you see. Yeah. Sure, it's Zakaria. All right, let's see. Multi-guest. Whoa. Give me a second. Let me see. Abu Isa. Oh, bro. Guys, I apologize. I'm not bringing anybody up from Gaza. Okay? Let's go.
Hello, bro.
Hey.
Dude, I'm not here in a place of arrogance, but from what I know about your way of life and your way of practicing, is you reject anything that's related to the companions, correct?
What do you mean by reject anything that's related to the companions?
Yeah, like the hadiths, for example.
Do you know what it means to reject hadith?
Yeah, to reject the anecdotal evidence of the Sahaba.
No, reject hadith means you're rejecting the authority of books outside of the Quran. So when someone's going to tell me halal and haram that's not in the Quran, I don't accept that. If someone tells me that Abu Bakr and Umar were friends because of this books that say this, I can accept that. That's not a problem for me to accept. But to tell me that I need these books for me to get guided, I cannot accept that. Are these books part of Islam? I cannot accept that. That's what it means to reject them as religious authority.
Okay, fine. But what I said as a summary, would it be correct that you reject anything that does with the Sahaba?
What do you mean by reject the Sahaba? Like their history?
What you just said, your example of what rejecting is, by that definition, would you reject the Sahaba? It's a simple question.
Do the Sahabas have religious authority?
No, not
so
really.
If the Sahaba comes and tells me that God says that wearing red is haram, do I have to accept that?
Of course, because it's transmission. As we know,
transmission
right?
by who?
Can
you bring me the Sahabi then bring me the Sahabi and let me have a talk with him.
Bro, let's not be arrogant. Right,
I'm not being arrogant.
I'm respectful here.
I'm because that's the argument, brother. If I go to a court of law, in the court of law, if I say my dad told me so, am I a witness?
That's a horrible analogy, bro. A better analogy would be, from your perspective, rejecting someone's anecdotal evidence is fine, but to reject the whole transmission that the Prophet even accepts as reliable is insane.
The transmission that is reliable is written. So the written books that you have rendered for me is many years after the fact. It's not me talking to the Sahaba directly who talk to the Prophet directly. It is many people in the line. You are telling me that I must accept what you said about 4 people, that the people who wrote about them never met them. So the person, let's say the second person in the line, he never met Bukhari, but Bukhari is telling me such an excellent report about him. But you have never sat with him, yet you have never understood him, and all you heard is some people saying he was a good man. This is not reliability. This is, I'm sorry for the term, but this is literally, it's like Trump saying about his security of defense, he's a great guy when he's a terrible guy. But if many people say it, it does not make him a good guy. You see what I'm saying? This is not how religion should be.
That's an interesting approach, but so from your perspective, are you technically the only true Muslims around the world?
No, there's many people who are Muslims around the world. There's people who are closer to God than others. I do believe that there were many righteous people from the from the people who followed Prophet Muhammad. But I also don't believe that your books have captured what these people actually said and actually did. You have a rendition that keeps getting twisted throughout history to fit a certain narrative. And some hadiths start to fall into meta, and some hadiths fall out of meta based upon what the society is going through right now. So right now we're having a very strong push that Khadija is not older than the Prophet. But for a very long time you heard that Khadija was older than the Prophet. So there's certain times when hadith starts to become strong, and then there's certain times when the hadith is considered weak based on what's happening. This is very clear that Albani had to come in 1970 to reevaluate much of the hadith. So we're still not having the hadith corpus to tell me the rendition of what these people actually said. So this is not something that I'm going to base my religion on, because that's conjecture, that's dhann. And God tells me not to follow dhann.
Interesting. And Muhammad, is you as a Muslim or so-called Muslim, I don't know if you call yourself a Muslim, maybe a Quranist, but do you proselytize to people? Like, do you
What do you
spread
think
this way of...
what do you think I have been doing for the last hour and a half on here?
No, I don't know. I feel like it's a very in-group, if you know what I mean. Like, you don't really want to express...
I've been expressing bro, go on my YouTube. I've been expressing
when
myself
I say express, I mean converting people.
I do work on convert. Brother, my work, there's many Christians that end up going to Sunnis and then hearing my channel and hearing my side, and then they turn to the truth. I'm not here in a game of numbers. I'm not here to convert people. I'm here to show people what God wanted. So that's what the Prophet did. I'm a disciple of the Prophet. I am a person who's following the Prophet. The Prophet said to his people, there's only one God, to spend from what God has given you, to establish the prayer. Okay? He's telling you to be good to each other. He's telling you to stand for the truth.
It shows that Tawheed is the most important thing in this world, correct?
Tawheed is the most important thing. Perfect. So what does the word Tawheed mean?
Monotheism. Submit to the oneness of God.
Perfect. So God is sufficient and complete, correct?
Of course.
So when I say obey God, what does that mean to you?
Obey God by His teachings.
The Quran, right?
His divine teachings, yeah.
Right. So is that sufficient? Is God complete and sufficient for you in that case, or no? You need someone to hold your hand.
Of course, but our understanding of God is very, very simplistic. We need prophecy, we need prophets, we need messengers to convey that message. Correct?
Perfect. So what was the message that was conveyed?
Tawheed. I believe it's Tawheed. From my understanding.
What was the message of Prophet Muhammad? Where can I read his message? Where can I read his message?
The hadiths, bro. The hadiths and the Quran.
The hadith and the Quran. What's first, bro? Come on.
I don't think you have to pick, but I'd say the Quran's more superior, in a sense.
More superior. So
it's divine.
Perfect. So God says to me that this is the speech of the messenger. So where do I find the speech of the messenger other than the Quran?
The speech of the Prophet?
Yes. The Quran is the speech of the messenger. The statements of the messenger.
The Quran is the speech of the messenger?
That's what God said.
No, bro. I think it's major shirk.
It's major shirk. When God says it, إِنَّهُ لَقَوْلُ رَسُولٍ كَرِيمٍ وَمَا هُوَ بِقَوْلِ شَاعِرٍ قَلِيلًا مَا تُؤْمِنُونَ. It is the statements of an honorable messenger, and it is not the statements of a poet.
Okay, but God also says...
So whose kalam?
So does that mean Bani Israel has to come take over Israel?
Brother, whose kalam is the Quran? Who's the kalam? Whose kalam is the Quran? Whose words?
God.
Perfect.
God is the kalam.
Who's the statements? Who's the one who said them?
Who's the one that what?
Said them. Who said the words of God to you? The messenger. So that's why it's the statements of the messenger, but the words of God. No? So where do I find Qawl al-Rasul, Habibi? That's the answer.
Do you not believe it's Angel Gabriel?
Angel Gabriel, is he a messenger?
No, but he conveyed the message to Muhammad, no?
Perfect. Yes, and God says that it is an honorable messenger. This is in a different one. In a different
And
one,
how do we...
it is. He says, "Inna qawlu Rasulul Kareem," right? He says that about Gabriel, and he says that about Muhammad. So it's the statements of the messenger. So where do I find the statements of the messenger, Abu
The
Isa?
hadith.
It's not the Quran.
It's in the hadith, bro. We
But
follow
it's not in the
what it's
Quran
in.
then?
Of the teachings of the prophets?
Brother, I asked you the statements of the. If I want to say قال الرسول, where do I find what? ماذا قال الرسول? Where do I find that? Where do I find what the messenger said?
In Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi's books, bro. The ones of Khilaf, Habibi.
So
Yalla, you're kafir.
so not only you see, guys, this guy, he says he's a Jew, and now he's becoming a ISIS. See that? See how he run? See, guys, it's so easy. It's so easy. It's so easy. That guy was just a LARP. He was literally a LARP. Al-Baghdadi. Guys, I'll show you who Al-Baghdadi is, okay? He's the leader of a certain group in the Middle East. And that, obviously, this guy was put to rest. Where is it? That's going to be a little difficult to show, but yeah. So Al-Baghdadi was also a Zionist himself that worked with the Mossad, but that's fine. This Abu Isa is gonna stay kafir and run away because that's what they do. Yalla. Ryan, you came up before and you didn't have a fun time, bro. I think it's the same person. What's up, Ryan? Ryan, sorry. Are you there?
Hello?
Hey, King, be careful of the CIA and FBI they sent him. They can't do much, bro. They can't do much. I got God. Go ahead, bro. What's up?
How are you?
Good, how are you? I have a feeling we talked
I'm
before,
good.
bro.
Yeah, no, we have on Telegram.
But I think we talked on TikTok as well. Unless if your display is the same as
Maybe, I don't remember.
So what's up, Ryan?
I've got a question.
Go ahead.
Can you read chapter 30, verse 17 to 18 for me, please?
Can you go ahead and read it?
Yeah, okay. So glorify Allah in the evening and the morning. All praises for Him in the heavens and earth, as well as in the afternoon and at noon. Yeah, so to me, that's 4 times I have to pray.
That's not 4.
I count 4 times: evening, morning, afternoon, and noon. Right, it makes the distinctions.
وَلَهُ الْحَمْدُ الْأَرْضُ عَشِيًّا وَحِينَ تَظْهَرُونَ. And for Him is the praise in the heavens and the earth while it's evening and while it's noon, right? That's the one that you're quoting?
No,
so
okay,
glory
so
be to God when it's nightfall and when it's morning, right? And to Him is the praise in the evening and it's noon, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. But
so you got nightfall and morning, afternoon and noon.
Okay, but then I'm going to show you a different verse where it shows you it's 6 times. And it's
6
not prayer,
times.
and it's not saying prayer here. It's saying it's telling you here to exalt, to glorify. It's not telling
exalt,
you to pray.
glorify, and praise are all worship.
But I'm not telling you about the concept. You said salah. This is not telling you to establish a salah at these times. I can do hamd right now. I can glorify my Lord right now, and it would not be me standing a prayer.
Okay, so then it has to say salah for it to be a salah.
No, for me...
But salah is just contact.
No, salah has its procedures where I have to wash and I have to stand and recite and prostrate.
Describe salah then.
As God says in the Quran, so it has its procedures where I have to get up and wash my face, my hands, wipe my head, wipe my feet, stand towards the Qibla, to recite from what God has given me in the book, to stand and to prostrate and to fulfill the times that God has told me to fulfill, which He told me the 2 ends of the day and portions of the night. But I'm going to take you to Surah 20, verse 130. Okay?
So salah is all is wudu, is the actions, is reciting the Quran.
It's the focus on the Quran. So it's yes. So when
it's not praising, it's not glorifying.
There is
it's not exalting.
So the times of the times I'm showing you right now about exaltation, it overlaps with the 3 times of the prayer. So there's 3 times of prayer, and there's 3 times of there's 6 times of exaltation, or as you're calling it, worship, and then there's 3 times of prayer which overlap. Okay, that's where the Sunnis get their dhuhr and their asr from, and they're silent in it because it's not a prayer. It's a time of glorification. It's not a salah. It's a time of tasbih. So here, the verse that I'm telling you is 21:30, and I'll put it on the screen for you. Let me see if this is it. There we go. Let me put it for everyone here. Boom. Okay. It says فاصبر على ما يقولون وسبح بحمد ربك قبل طلوع الشمس وقبل غروبها ومن آناء الليل فسبح وأطراف النهار لعلك ترضى. So be patient over what they say and glorify with praise of your Lord before the rising of the sun, 1, and before its setting, 2, and during the night, 3, and glorify at the sides of daytime. Perhaps you will be pleased. Now the words here, side, in Arabic is atraf. Okay, atraf is 3 or more. Okay, so I can draw you a picture if you want, but
Wait,
we
is
know
it 21:30?
no,
You said
21:30.
21. Oh,
20,
21:30.
chapter 20, 130. Yeah, so here it's glorify your Lord, and it's 6 times.
How is it 6 times?
Okay, I'm gonna draw you a picture. Ready? Okay, so this is the technology that we have reached, called MS Paint.
I only read 5. Praise the Lord before sunrise, before sunset. That's 2 times.
1 minute.
Glorify Him in the hours of the night. That's 3. And both ends of the day.
Okay, but the ends of the day here is plural, so it has to be 3.
Oh wait, no. The ends of the day would be
1 minute,
before sunrise.
brother. 1 minute. Okay.
Oh wait, no. Okay.
Do you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is right here in the red. Let's say that this is sunrise. Okay. And over here is sunset.
Yeah.
Okay. So God is telling you, right, to praise when? When's the first time? The first
Before
time.
sunrise.
Sorry, 1:30. So yes. So قبل طلوع الشمس, which is right here. Sorry. So yes, قبل طلوع الشمس. So it's right here, before the raising of the sun. Number 1. Okay. I think that's too small for you. There you go. So that's number 1 right here. Or maybe, you know what? Let me go with the purple. That's number 1. And then God says before the setting of the sun, قبل غروبها, right? That's number 2, right?
Wouldn't
he
it be
says
before and after the red thing?
no, before. 1 second. It says here, right? It says قبل طلوع الشمس وقبل غروبها. So before the rising of the sun, which is this one, and before it's setting.
Wait, is the red the rising?
No, this is okay. So let me just put this in blue. This is sunset. Sun. Okay, sorry. Set. This is when the sun is setting.
Yeah.
And this is when the sun is rising. Here, rise.
So
okay?
is that red supposed to be like the trajectory of the sun?
No. It's just imagine it as a circle, and it's just a cut. It's not a trajectory of anything. It's just like this is 8 a.m. Let's say that this is 8 a.m. and this is like 5 p.m. Okay, that's all it is.
Yeah, so it'd be the trajectory of the sun.
No, sure, bro. I'm thinking of it as like a clock, a watch. You know.
Yeah, same thing though.
Sure. Okay. So God says before the rising of the sun, which is right here. Okay.
No, it'd be before the red.
Brother, the sun is rising like this and going like that, and then it's setting.
Yeah,
here.
so it'd be at the edge.
Before the rising of the sun. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm giving you relatively. It's like right here, okay?
Oh, let's do it properly.
Brother, so you're taking it literally like exactly right before the second the sun comes up.
Yeah.
So it's not dawn to you.
No. It'd be for
fine.
like
it would be
as
right
soon
here.
As it starts.
Okay,
yeah.
But I don't think that's what it's. I don't think it's saying that, but that's fine. We can be as literal as you want. So this is before, and then this is before the setting, okay? And then God says during the night, correct? And then he says at the sides, this word right here, atraf, right? This says here, atraf al-nahar, the sides of the day. Atraf has to be 3 or more.
Ends.
That has to be 3 or more.
Why?
Because if it's 2, he would have said tarafay al-nahar. which he says in a different verse. Here it's saying atraf al-nahar, which has to be in Arabic, brother, in Arabic, if something is plural, it has to be 3 or more. Because we have singular, we have dual, and then we have trips, or 3 and more, which is plural.
But
This
for my translation, so you're talking about after it says glorify him in the hours of the night,
yes,
and at both ends of the day.
but it doesn't
So
say both. That's a very skewed and wrong translation, brother.
Quran.com. Where are
Brother,
you getting your translation from?
ends. I'm looking at the
Ends,
Great
yeah,
Quran.
ends would be 2. You can't have 3 ends.
Brother, in Arabic, atraf and nahar is more nuanced. It's not 2, it's 3 or more. I'm
Yeah,
telling you.
no, but either way, if
Brother,
we're talking about sides, yeah, there could be multiple sides.
So
But if we're
perfect.
talking about ends,
So
ends,
yes, it doesn't say end. It's saying
you
saying
can't have
taraf.
you can have beginning and end, so therefore you would have 2 ends, like
Brother,
physically, yeah. But how could there be 3?
So in a different verse, God tells you, and I'll put this in green, God tells you to perform the prayer at the 2 ends of the day. And then he gives you the clarification that this is the end that he's talking about, and this is the other end that he's talking about. And he's telling you in the night to pray as well. See? And then now God, here for the concept of tasbih, he's saying to you before the rising of the sun, before the setting of the sun, at night, and in the ends of the day, which would be after the rising of the sun, which would be in the climax of the day, that's the other end here, and then after the setting of the sun, which we already established in a different verse.
Okay,
That's the argument.
Let me explain how I read this.
But 1 minute. Just Sunnis have this. This dot here, they call this Fajr prayer. This they call Duha prayer, which is optional.
I can't see what you're talking about.
Oh, sorry. Papa. So yes, Papa. Oh man, so you missed the portion of it. So sorry.
Can I just? I'll interpret it and then you correct me.
Sure.
That'll be easier. Okay, before sunrise, to me that's Fajr, right? Just before it starts rising, that would be Fajr at dawn.
Okay, so that's the
before,
one.
Yeah, before sunset, I'm taking this as either Asr or Maghrib, but I think it's Asr.
Let's say Asr. Sure, Asr.
Yeah, because.
All right, cool.
Maghrib would be sunset.
And then night is Isha.
At night.
Was Isha.
Yeah, it would be Isha, and then both ends of the day.
Okay, what's the both ends of the day?
For me, that's morning and Maghrib.
Okay, morning and Maghrib, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the easiest way of understanding this, but because God said he didn't say tarafay, he said atraf, okay? He said 3 or more, which gives you dhuhr. That's why it's atraf, giving it 6 times, not 5 times.
I don't understand that. So you're just saying because the Arabic.
Yes, the Arabic is telling you that it's 3, and the noon in Arabic can be understood as tarafun nahar. It can be understood.
Can you explain how it means 3?
Okay, in Arabic we have taraf, which is singular. Okay, the word taraf is 1 end. Tarafay is 2 ends. Atraf is 3 or more. So the minimum number that God is saying there is 3.
Yeah, but how can there be 3 ends of a day?
Because the word taraf in Arabic does not necessitate that it has to be the very end. The climax of a mountain, I could say that this is a taraf of the mountain. So this is a taraf of a mountain, this is a taraf of a mountain, and this is a taraf. It's not like an end, the way that you're understanding it in Arabic, but rather an edge.
I'm thinking of it like you have beginning and end, and those would be the 2 ends. You get what I'm saying?
I get it, but the Arabic, as I said to you here, is telling you 3.
Okay, so if there's multiple ends, then what defines an end?
The end is when thing is changing. So here, this is the climax, and this is when the highest point, which is going to start going to the lowest point. So this would be considered an end in Arabic. I can say that as a taraf.
Point.
Yes,
what does a changing point mean?
But brother, the word taraf in Arabic does not necessitate the end the way that you're saying it. It can mean...
but you're just saying it means changing, right?
It's okay, brother, but this is the climax point. The climax point when now it's going to be reversed. I could say that as a taraf.
But what does the climax mean? Because are you talking about noon?
Noon, exact noon, when the sun is at the highest point and it's going to start to decline. That is considered a taraf.
Yeah, okay, so then this would be consistent with 5 prayers. Can I explain?
Brother, that's 6.
No, can I explain? Before sunrise, listen. Before sunrise,
Okay, before sunrise, number 1.
morning,
Yeah.
Fajr.
Yeah.
Fajr.
Okay, here.
Before sunset?
That's the first one. Before sunset. That's
Yeah,
Asr. Got
before
it. Okay.
Asr, yes.
Yeah. And then what?
Glorify him in the hours of the night, that's Isha.
Isha. Okay. And then what?
Both ends of the day,
Which
that
is
would be
what?
Dhuhr and Maghrib.
Okay, but what about this one?
What do you mean that one?
After the rising of the sun. That's 6, brother.
I don't
That's
know.
not a
Where did you get after the rising of the sun?
Brother, that's atraf. That's a sign. You put that one there. You're the one who put this one here. You're the one who told me that this is after this rising of the sun is an end, which it is an end.
No, I never said that.
Okay, bro, you did say that. You're the one who put this circle for
can
me,
you,
bro.
Can you play it back? No, can you play it back so I can hear me say that?
Okay.
I don't remember saying that.
Okay, Ryan. Just give me 1 second. I'm gonna see if I can
Thank
make
you,
that for
thank
you.
Thank you, brother. Because I'm reading before sunrise, easy, morning, Fajr. Before sunset, easy. That's gonna be Asr, right? Glorify him in the hours of the night, easy, Isha. Now both ends of the day, to me, that's gonna be the climax, which
It's
you
not
said is
both,
Asr.
bro. You keep repeating what I'm correcting
Okay,
you.
I'm reading the translation. Ends of the day. Let's just
But I'm
say
telling
ends
you
of the
the
day.
Arabic.
Okay, ends of the day, it could be plural. We don't know how many, right?
3
I'm
or
saying the
more.
only-
This is the Arabic language. It's 3 or more.
okay.
It cannot be 2.
Chill. I'm saying the ends of the day have to be
Whatever
right, if
you
we're
want,
defining,
bro.
how we're defining ends of the day, right?
Brother,
would be
whatever
Asr
you want.
and
Whatever
Maghrib.
you want.
But I'm going by your logic. This is how you
Brother,
define
you're not
ends of the
telling me
day.
by my logic. I'm telling you 3 or more. You keep forcing 2.
Both ends.com. Don't have two.
1 second. Can you hear it? Tell
Yeah,
me.
no, yeah, we can hear it.
Okay,
So
1
wait,
second.
if it's ends.
It doesn't
Ends.
say end. It's saying
You
taraf.
can't have you can have beginning and end, so therefore you would have 2 ends, like
Brother,
physically, yeah. But how
so-
could there be 3?
So in a different verse, God tells you, and I'll put this in green, and then of the end beer has the portion of
Yeah.
it. So sorry.
Can I just?
Alright,
I'll
man.
interpret it, and then you correct me.
Sure.
That'll be easier.
Here you go.
Okay. Before sunrise, to me that's Fajr, right? Just before it starts rising, that would be Fajr at
Sure.
dawn.
Okay, so that's the
Before
one.
before sunset, I'm taking this as either Asr or Maghrib, but I think it's Asr.
Let's say
because-
Asr. Sure, Asr.
Yeah, because
All right, cool.
Maghrib would be sunset.
And then night is
Glory.
Isha.
At night,
Was Isha.
yeah, it would be Isha, and then
Alright,
both ends of the day.
Okay,
Would be-
what's the both ends of the day?
For me, that's morning and Maghrib.
Morning. See how
Yeah,
you said morning? Bro, I even
morning-
drew the circle and you agreed with me.
Morning to me is just anything before noon.
Okay,
right? So
perfect.
that would include noon.
Bro, that's the argument. I'm telling you, that's the argument. So there's 6
Okay, but
times that's
if you-
presented. Okay, how many prayers does Sunnis have? 5 or 6?
Wait, forget that. I'm just saying noon,
Oh, man.
right? So literally right next to noon, right? That would be the end of the day, right?
Okay.
One of the ends of the day.
So it's
And
2
so
ends
that's
of the
what-
day.
that would be
Khalas,
Dhuhr.
as you
Yeah,
want, bro.
so-
Ryan, you're
so
just Ryan,
me.
there's no point because you keep arguing, and the point that you want to argue, which is not what is being said in Arabic, you want to say that it's 2 no matter what because that's what your English translation is saying.
No. I'm saying
telling
it's
you,
2 because of logic, because of the
I'm
sun.
telling you, the Arabic is telling you that it's 3 or more. You're saying your logic is superior, so that's fine.
Okay. Tell me,
there's no
because I'm not going by language. I'm saying even if it just says plural. It doesn't say there's 3. It just says plural. right?
Brother,
You're saying
it
it's
has to
plural.
be a
Let me finish.
minimum of 3. You are failing when you're failing to understand this point. It is a minimum of 3. So you
Explain
can't keep trying to force 2.
Explain how there's 3 ends of the day.
Brother, the atraf al-nahar is 5. There's 5 ends of the day. Before the rising of the sun, after the rising of the sun, noon, before the setting, and after the setting of the sun. Those are all considered atraf al-nahar. God told you 2 by name, and then God said the rest. which is now
How
a
can- wait,
minimum
how-
of 3. And this is juxtaposed by the verse, which is the prayer, where God tells you right here very clearly to perform the prayer at the two ends, tarafay and nahar. And someone can make the argument, God, are you talking about the outer ends, which would be morning and noon, or are you talking the inner ends, which is morning and afternoon, or are you talking about the outer ends, which would be fajr or dawn and sunset? God clarifies it. God
okay, that's
clarifies it,
dependent on how we define days, right?
brother.
So
And
if you
then, oh my God, I'm talking
define
about what
day.
God says in the Quran. God is clarifying to you that He's talking about the outer days, which He called tarafay. Okay, so He
Yeah, how do you
called
know?
God says this is taraf. God calls this side a taraf. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
God calls the sunset a taraf. In the verse that I presented to you, He did not say after the setting of the sun. He said before the setting of the sun, and then He said taraf, because He's defining the word for you. So you understand from what God has told you here, all the sides of the day, which are 6. Let me just delete this real quick. That He showed you 6 sides, and this is proven to you even by how Sunnis understand it. So we have, this is the horizon for sunrise. This is the horizon for sunset. He says very clearly, before the rising of the sun, before the setting of the sun, before the night, at night, and then the 3 ends, or the ends of the day, which is minimum of 3. Now, this is aligned with what he says in the other verses of the Quran. This here is an optional prayer for the Sunnis. They promoted this to a prayer. They promoted this to a prayer. God calls this a prayer, and God calls this a prayer, and God calls this a prayer. But God did not call any of these 3 a prayer. That's why they're silent.
Can you define day?
Yom. Are we
That's the
talking about
translation.
calendar day, or are we talking about like the actual sunlight day?
How God means day in this verse?
So the word yawm is calendar day. Nahar is like daylight.
So this verse, which one's that one?
Nahar,
So it'd be just daylight.
daylight. Morning.
Okay.
Or
So-
however,
so-
I don't know how to say in English. Like it's just when the sun is out. Or when the yellow or the blue is showing of the day.
When the blue is showing of the day.
Yeah, nahar,
Okay, so-
nahar can be, some people would understand it as well before the rising of the sun. Like dawn would be part of nahar as well.
Okay, so if it's before sunrise, you're saying is day, right? All right, because that's what you just said.
Brother, do you know God did not have to say before the rising of the sun or before the setting of the sun? All he had to say is atraf nahar, and someone would have understood it. But the reason why he said before and before the rising and before the settings, and so that he would explain to the person to have proof on what the nahar is by the language of God. So this is why the argument is very concise.
So what you're saying is before sunrise is when the day starts.
Yes, when the sun, so God says he merges the day and the night. So he's saying that the day and the night, there's time when they're both present. And then it just becomes day. And then God merges the night and the day. So they're both present. So the dawn, you have both day and night. And Maghrib or sunset, you have both day and night.
So before sunrise is day.
And night.
Right?
Oh,
and
no,
night.
before sunrise is just day. Yes.
It's just day.
Yes.
Okay, so if there's
Wait,
ends
well,
of
hold
the
on.
day,
Sorry, before sunset or before sunrise?
before sunrise,
No, that's both day and night at that point.
that's both day and night.
Yeah.
Would that be an end of the day?
Yes, because day is literally starting at that point. That's an end.
Okay. So if that's one end of the day, what's the next end of the day?
So there's when I'm saying an end, for example here, bro, do you understand if I say like the end of this, right? One can make the argument that this is the end, and one can make the argument that this is the end. So there's the
To me,
outer,
it'd be the same end.
no, it wouldn't. There's the outer end, and then there's the inner end. This end is different than this end. So when God is telling you before the rising of the sun, he's defining to you one of the ends, which is used in a different verse.
No,
When he's
I'm
saying,
thinking linear, there would be only 2 ends, right? There'd be A and B.
I'm explaining to you on how it is perceived.
But you're using perception, and that would obviously resort to A and B.
But
Linear.
he's talking about an edge. He's talking about like it does not necessitate that an end has to be at the very end. You see what I mean? Like at the end of the turn, for example.
No, to me, end just means end.
But
I just explained A and B. That's what end means to me.
okay. In the Arabic is presented differently. I'm trying to help you get that.
Okay.
So
how does that answer my question?
So, brother, there is no answering of your question. You're just trying to impose your understanding.
No, I'm asking a question.
So God is telling me in the Quran that he calls this a taraf and he calls this a taraf. Okay? And then he shows me that there's 5 in the Quran. And God is telling me to praise him in those 5 times, including
Thank
the
you.
night. Okay?
Thank you.
And
That's what I do as well. Pray 5 times.
But that doesn't say pray. And that's
But you
6
just
times.
said,
Yes,
no,
exalting
you just
him.
said 5 times.
Brother, 5 times of the day and the night. So that's 6.
But you said that one was day and night.
I said there's 5 times and then there's the night. 5 times when the day is present.
But you said 5 times.
5 times when the day is present and the night.
No, you said 5 times.
Would you like me to repeat it? You want me to repeat it?
Can I repeat it first?
Brother, I know what I'm saying. Like it's saying to you 6 times.
Yeah, I know what I'm saying as well.
So how many times do Sunnis pray? 5 or 6 times?
You've got an obsession with them. Why do you have to bring them up?
Because you're making the same argument that they do. You're saying that this verse is telling you to pray 5 times. It's talking about 6 times. But then you have a problem with Salat al-Wusta, the middle prayer. I'm not shouting because I keep repeating myself and you keep trying to impose your words on me.
I can hear the volume increasing though.
Awesome. Because it's like you're not letting the point to get across.
But I've already given you the point and you said, why do I have to answer a question?
Brother, your point has been made. I don't agree with your point, and I never said it's 5 times. I said it's 5 times during the day and 1 at night. That's 6.
Shall I go over why your logic is false? It's contradictory.
Brother, you're still... Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Before sunrise, yeah, you're saying this is the end of the day.
Is that an end of the day? Is that an end of the day? Is it an end of the day? I'm asking you, is it an end of the day?
To me, yes.
Okay, perfect.
So that would be Fajr.
Okay,
right?
perfect. So God says to you that this is an end of the day, right? So perfect. This is right here an end of the day before the rising of the sun. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what? And then what?
And then we have noon, which would be an end of the day.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Cool. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
And then we have before sunset, which is Maghrib.
Yeah.
No, Asr. That would also be no, that's not an end of the day. That's just before sunset. It is an end of the day, actually. It's one of them.
Oh, okay. So that's also an end of the day. Okay,
cool.
Yeah. All right. Is the sunset also an end of the day?
Yeah. The sunset would be an end of the day.
Okay, perfect. Okay, and then is the sunrise an end of the day?
No, sunrise.
No. Okay, so why do you have 2 ends here, but you only have 1 end here, Mr. Consistent?
Because
you just felt like it.
No.
So before the rising of the sun is an end of a day, and after the setting of the sun is before the setting of the sun is a end of a day, and after the setting is the end of the day. But on the other end, the symmetrical end, only the one here is an end of the day. But this one isn't because you didn't feel like it fits your calculations.
No, because of how we're describing ends of the day.
Bro, that's how you describe it. It's not what is being said. That's how you want to describe it, and try to force it that it's 5. And God here, and by the way, God here has already told you that this is before the rising of the sun. He didn't call this an end of the day in what you're talking about, right? Because he's so it's still you're the one who's inconsistent at this point.
No, okay. Before sunrise is the end of the day, right? And it's Fajr. It would be sunrise, right?
So this is an end of the day, correct? We're doing this again. This one right here, right? So this one right here is an end of the day. Let's go with what color is left at this point. This weird purple. This is one end.
Wait, no. Before sunrise is not an end of the day.
It's not an end of the day.
No, to me,
okay, perfect. So that is now we've changed it. Before the rising of the sun, ladies and gentlemen, is not the end of the day, correct?
Yeah, sunrise would be the end of the day to me.
Okay, so sunrise is the end of the day. So can I ask you a question now?
Go on.
When God tells you to perform the prayer at the 2 ends of the days, Okay? Does that include dawn or not?
No.
Okay. So the Quran says it is dawn, but you're saying now it's not. So you're saying there's a prayer
Where?
right here, right? That's the prayer that God is talking about.
I'm saying there's a prayer right there.
There's a prayer right here. Okay, perfect. And there's no
That
prayer.
would be sunrise.
That's sunrise. And then you're saying that God
Yes.
told you to also do a prayer right here, correct?
Prayer where?
To do a prayer right here as well before the rising of the sun.
No.
No, he doesn't. It doesn't say to you here before the rising of the sun. Before the rising of the sun.
Before the rising of the sun is the rising of the sun to me.
Before the rising of the sun is the rising of the sun. Brother, save me, and I hope you have a nice day.
No, come on. Let's speak.
There's nothing to speak about, brother. You're making it up on the spot.
Okay.
Go figure it out. Go figure it out, and then come back. Stop trying to. I don't need to listen to where you're making it up on the spot, brother.
Okay, here I'll tell you. Sunrise. Let's say it's 10 o'clock. I'm saying before sunrise is 9:59. Is that fine? So that would be Fajr.
What's that?
Fajr. Okay. Sunrise is 10 o'clock. Before
sunrise is before 10 o'clock.
No, sunrise is 10 o'clock. Before sunrise is 9:59. Okay. So that's Fajr.
That's Fajr. Fajr starts from 9:59. Is that when you start to hold your fast?
Yes. Obviously not exact time.
Okay, so God defined to you what Fajr is.
He's saying there's another verse that says Fajr.
Yeah, he literally says the white thread of Fajr, dawn, from the black thread of night.
Yeah, that would be before sunrise.
Yes, perfect. So it's a whole length of time. It's not just literally 2 minutes before it.
What do you mean?
What I'm saying is that God is giving you a portion of time. He's not giving you just literally right before the second before the sun rises, as you're trying to paint it. Brother,
he's not saying is prayed the whole time. He's saying you pray from this time to that time. You have prayers between these times. That's what it's saying.
Yeah. Here, bro. How about you go to this how about you go to this Discord, Naveed? How about you just be quiet? But yeah, brother, I think you need to go figure it out, and then you
wait, no, we were doing well. I've got you to concede on Fajr.
No,
before sunset.
Brother, I didn't concede to 5 prayers.
Did we not? No, I didn't say 5 prayers. I said to Fajr.
Brother, you have yet to make a point where it's consistent with what the Quran says.
Okay. Listen,
I already believe that Fajr is a prayer. I already believe that Fajr is a prayer.
So
I'm conceding to the truth. Thank you. Yes, I concede that Fajr is a prayer.
Thank you. Let's carry on with the rest. Before sunrise is Fajr.
Brother, I'm sorry. You are a person that's wasting my time.
This is insincere.
What's insincere, brother? You're making it up. You're making it up. How many ends of a day in Arabic? Atraf al-nahar, how many is that?
Oh, bro, you're bringing Arabic. I don't speak Arabic.
Okay, then go look at the verses and then come back to me when you're ready, bro.
I'm going by the logic of the verse.
Brother, let's go by what the Arabic, let's go by what the Quran says. Okay?
Yeah, and I can read the logic transfers.
Transfers to what, brother? How many ends of the day is there? Okay, how many ends of the day is? How many ends of the day is there?
There's gonna be Asr.
Brother, give me a number. Give me a number. How many ends of the day?
You said there's many.
How many? I'm asking you. How many ends?
Oh, there's gonna be sunrise.
Brother, give me a number.
Okay. 1, 2.
Okay.
3.
3.
4.
4. Perfect. So 4 ends of the day. Okay,
yeah.
Let's measure consistency now. Watch, guys. I know which times he's gonna give me, and one of them is not gonna be consistent with the rest. Because now four to him is just because he wants to say that it's 5. And watch how he's gonna fall on his face really quick, and how it's not 5 and it's still 6. Go ahead, buddy. Show me how it's 5. Let's draw our 2 lines, and you tell me the 4 atraf. Okay. Here you go. So here's your first. Here's the first line.
Yeah.
Before sunrise or sunset, or both.
Okay. So do one at 9 o'clock is sunrise.
Okay, so this one right here.
Yeah, that's the end of the day.
One end of the day. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah. Now do another one at noon. That's the second end of the day.
Okay, that's the second. Okay, where's the third now?
Now do the one later evening. So that's gonna be Asr before sunset.
Cool. That's 3 now.
Yeah, now do sunset.
Okay, that's 4 now, right?
No, 5. I said before sunset and now sunset.
That's 4.
No,
You
before sunset,
literally
so
said
later
it's
even.
4, bro. I told you give me the 4. This is the 4. You said atraf is 4. This is 4, bro. That's 4.
No, you've done them parallel. Why are they parallel?
This is sunset and this is sunrise.
Okay, no. Okay, so you see sunset?
Yeah, this is
Do
sunset.
do it between sunset and noon.
That's this one. That's Asr.
Okay, do a point for sunset.
There's one right here for sunset.
Why is it like that?
Because that's like around the sun, and then there's the night, right? That's your 5, correct?
Hold. Why is it like that?
Brother,
you know how to do? Okay.
Oh
okay,
my
let me
God,
explain.
bro!
Okay.
Just
Do you want that
okay. Do you
nine-
want it to
nine-
touch
nine-
the line? Like, how petty are
I'm
you,
go-
bro?
I'm gonna
Here
make
it
it
is.
clear
It's
up.
touching the
Listen,
line. That's the one that you
crashing
want,
out.
brother. I'm
Stop
not
crashing
crashing out. This is getting annoying.
You're crashing
Can you
out.
can you give me the times? Can you just give me the
Yeah, okay.
times?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
That's what I was gonna do that, but you're
Okay,
crashing
go
out.
ahead. Yalla, show me,
9
bro.
o'clock.
All right, 9 o'clock. All right, cool.
12 o'clock.
Okay, 1 second. All right, 9 o'clock and 12 o'clock, right?
3 o'clock
3 o'clock
and 5 o'clock
and 5 o'clock. Okay.
or 6 o'clock. Why is a 5 there, brother?
But where do you want 5? Do you want 5 right here? Where
No,
do you want
do you
the
know how a
5?
clock works? Do you know how a clock
Brother,
works?
I put this at 5 o'clock. I put the red line of. Do you want it exactly
So
on the
is that how
5?
you draw? Bro, look how you draw a clock. Draw a clock for me. Draw a clock for me.
Brother, can you just tell me where you would like
Draw a
it?
clock for me.
Can you would you just tell me here? Just tell me where to stop, okay? Tell me where you
Okay.
would like it. You want it here, here,
Nope.
here, here.
Why are you doing that?
Bro, I'm telling you where do you want it. Just tell me which dot.
Yeah, go to the right. Yeah, stop.
Right here?
Stop. Just stop. Move your mouse right.
This one.
No. Why you've gone diagonal? I said move it right.
Right.
More
Subhanallah.
right.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Here?
Keep going. There.
Brother,
Thank
the sun can't be there.
Yeah. Okay. Put the.
Brother, let me make it
put
easier.
Asr up. Put Asr up.
Bro, this is rage baiting at this point.
Okay, wallahi.
Okay,
wallahi,
1
I'm not
minute,
rage
1
baiting.
minute, one
Wallahi,
minute, bro.
no,
I'll
I'm
make
gonna
it easy
clear.
for
I'm gonna make
you.
it clear.
I'll make it
I'm
easy
making
for
it easy
you.
for you.
I'll make it
Do a
easy
clock,
for you.
Make a clock.
Oh, here you go. Okay. That's
Thank
where
you.
this is the sun now. That's the sun
Yes.
movement. Where would you
Okay.
like it on the red line for me to
No.
put the stupid line
Okay.
to the stupid sun on this that last day?
No.
Where would you
Okay.
like it? Here?
We'll take the one that's already Asr. We're gonna say that's sunset. Now put Asr between noon and sunset. Thank you very much.
Here?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. So that's the 4 times of prayer.
No. Not there's 5 times. It also
Well,
says glorify him
there's
in the
night,
hours
right?
of the night.
The night, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So where does
Night-
the sun?
night-
So this is where the sun rises, correct?
Night wouldn't be there. Night would probably be like
Yo, bro, can you just listen to the actual argument, Habibi? This right here, for me, this red line is where the sun comes up. Okay, this red line here, this is sunrise. This red line is sunset. Do you get that?
okay. Just change the line. That dot is sunset.
Okay, so this dot here that you're talking about, right? This one here, you would like it
Yeah.
on the actual dot, correct?
No, it's fine. We can say that's just sunset, and there's no visual representation for night because obviously
Okay,
night
so
is the sun's disappeared.
this is the rising of the sun is here, okay?
Yeah, or before the rising.
Brother, the pink, do you understand? The pink is not the actual sun. The pink is the time to pray.
If the pink is time to pray, then we need to do a 24-hour clock.
No, we don't,
No, a
bro.
12-hour clock.
Oh my God, we don't. Like, I'll show you how easy this is, but you're so confused that it's like it's making it hard for you to understand the actual system that's being presented to you. Okay, so this is both night and day on one system. Okay, this is how logic can be presented to you, and where you could use your mind. Let me just clear this. Here, look, bro. This is how it works. Right here, this is both night and day. Okay. Right here, and I'm making day longer than night. So this line right here, it represents the moment the sun rises.
Why is it diagonal?
Because I'm on a, bro, it's the tangential to the actual circumference of what's being presented. So here's the other one. It doesn't matter how you want to view it, okay? This is right here, this moment here, because the system is going this way.
I
So
don't
you see,
understand why it's diagonal.
it's got nothing to do with the sun, bro. I'm talking about you the time, okay? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's diagonal or straight.
Okay.
At this portion right here, the sun rises. The portion right here, the sun is setting. Okay, you get it? And then this is night and this is day. This is this
Yes.
right. Okay, perfect. So now God is you're telling me now the 4 times that you said that are atraf, can you point them out for me here?
Okay, so that one there,
Yeah.
noon.
Okay, so here, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And then noon, correct? That's a
Yes.
time of
Yes.
prayer. And then on this
Yes.
side, what?
Yes. Yes. One
Before
there.
the line or after the line?
Before the line.
Before the line. Perfect.
Yeah.
And what's the 4th
Or
time
on the
then?
line.
On the
It
line?
doesn't matter.
Okay,
No,
sure.
no. That one is on the line.
This, bro, which one's on the line?
That one.
This one here is on the line like this?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And then where's the 4th one?
The first one is also on the line.
The fourth one.
The fourth one is between the second and the third one.
Oh, okay. So here, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And then you're saying this one's also on the line, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So what about this side here? Thank you.
What about it?
Thank you. That's the whole argument, bro. It's not 4.
No, but
Like
what about it?
you've been going around in this circle where you don't get it. God is telling you, God, it's whatever you want to say. If you want to say before the rising of the sun, that this God has said by name here, okay? God says it to you very clearly in verse 30. It says, قَبْلَ طُلُوعِ الشَّمْس, which you're saying this is this one. And then God says, قَبْلَ غُرُوبِهَا, which you're saying is this one, okay? And now you have the same problem that I presented to you. Now you have 3 ends. You put 2. You put this one and you put this one. And you would like to pretend that this one doesn't exist.
But to me, both ends is just sunrise
So why
or
is this
sunset.
an end?
Huh?
Why is this one an end?
I'm going by your definition of ends.
Brother, you're not going by my definition. You're going by your own stuff.
No.
I'm done, bro. I tried. We're going in a circle, guys. All right, guys. That was... I honestly tried, but this is like too much, bro. Like the verse is saying 6 and he's saying that I'm a runner. He changed his position 4 times. And even when he hears himself saying that this is what you said, goes, nope, that's not what I said. Guys, that was just a weird sitting. But do you know who he is? Do you know who he is? I know who Ryan is. Actually, Ryan, come back up. Ryan, come back up. Ryan, come back up. Actually, yeah. Come back up. I just recognize who he is. That's why. Come here, Ryan. Request, bro. Yeah. Actually, I just realized something. It's not Hussam. It is a Ryan guy that said that he wanted to debate me about code 19. So now he sat for 20 minutes trying to say that 6 has to be 5 because he said so. But now he would not join because he's the runner. Come on, Ryan, come back up. Now I remember who you are, bro. It's not Hussam. It isn't Hussam. It's a different guy. He said in a Telegram group, he's crying the whole day of how emotional the thing is. And he wanted to debate me. I said, okay, let's have a moderated debate. And he was like, can I bring my friends with me? And I was like, go bring your whole crew. And then he comes back, he sits and insults for a while, and he didn't even set up anything. And guys, you could clearly see that the way that he was approaching had nothing to do with what the Arabic is saying. And over there in the verse, it said nothing about prayer. It said nothing about prayer. Prophet Muhammad is one of the best men that lived. One of the best men that lived. He's not the best man that lived. I cannot say those words. But Brother Muhammad is one of the best men that ever lived. He's an amazing man. Peace, brother.
Peace, brother.
Ibn
Ibn
Yahya.
Yahya.
Abu Azaya. Hello?
Hello?
What do you think about
What do
my
you think
circle?
about my circle?
My circle.
My circle.
I love you,
I
bro.
love you, bro.
Can you explain the prayer times? Prayer times. You could see it in my on my YouTube channel. I have a video discussing the prayer.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
What's up? Walaikum salam.
How are you, brother?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. My name is also Muhammad, and I've been watching your videos for a while, and I think you're doing a great job.
May God bless you.
So I'm actually not I don't know if you were trying to get only like
No, I'm not.
Sunni haters or
No.
okay, yeah. All right. Basically, I wanted to just say like I agree with
Brother, your mic is muted.
was it muted
Yeah.
this whole time?
You said
Oh, sorry.
I agree, and then it disconnected.
Okay, yeah, I was just trying to hold on. Let me see if I can, because I have my notes on my other app, but I was just reading them from there.
No, you can't. You can't look at another app while you're on TikTok.
Can you hear me right now?
I can hear you.
Okay, I did the split screen. It's working.
Awesome.
All right, basically, yeah. So basically, like in the Quran, like so many examples, but I was saying verses that say that the Prophet Muhammad is not but a messenger, that his only purpose is to deliver the message, that he has no authority over the people, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only lawmaker, that the sunnah of Allah is mentioned, but not the sunnah of the Prophet, that the Quran is the best of hadith, and over 5 verses, separate verses that say, do not follow hadith, I'm sure you're aware, and etc., etc. But the one that I wanted to bring up was, in particular, was verse 66:1. And that one is where Allah basically says to the Prophet that why do you forbid that which He has made lawful for you regarding His wives, right? So the Prophet, you probably understand it better than me, but the Prophet was doing something out of fear of upsetting his wife or something like that, and even though Allah allowed it for him. So I just feel like that is pretty much a trump card, like over the Sunnis, right? Because
100%.
this is direct proof that he does not have the authority to make his own laws. That
Brother, wait. He only was forbidding it on himself. On himself. Yeah, so if the Prophet forbid on something on himself, you as a Sunni, would you also forbid it on yourself? Yes. Okay, so it's legislation. But God told him no.
Yeah, exactly. So right there is a clear, like, why do you think God included that example, right?
Right.
He didn't have to. He included that to show us that the Prophet is not the one making rules here. He's only conveying the rules to us, right? And I think for people who use logic, like it's like me and you, like Alhamdulillah, it's very clear to us, right?
That's what God says.
The problem is people are just stuck in their habits. They only want to follow what they've been told, and as soon as someone says something that gives them that cognitive dissonance, that hey, maybe I'm not in the right spot here, it just makes them uncomfortable, and then they spaz out on you, right?
My brother Muhammad, it's actually more simpler than that. God gives us the answer in the Quran on why these people will not believe. Okay, God says that if there was any good in their hearts, that God would have made them listen. See what I mean? So it's a reflection on the person's actual character. A lot of us in this day and age, we put up masks, and because we have a certain a society requirement for us to adhere to, for us to look like we're decent or upstanding people. But when all masks are off and your true colors are shining, that is exactly who you are. And this
Mm,
life is to show you that who you are truly. And when you think that God is not watching you, when there is no government above you, and you won't get in trouble for doing whatever you want, what would you do? And the majority of the world would choose to sin. And only a very few people, despite the absence of rule, would stick to a way for everyone to get along. And those people are very few in numbers. And those are
mm.
the people who would understand the message of the Quran because they have the capacity inside them to have the empathy to lower themselves and humble themselves, while the others rather sit in a position of arrogance and superiority. So there is no good in them. And that's why God does not let them hear the words.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Because that's what God says, right? Like the people, like you said, dumb, blind, and deaf, or their hearts are blackened or sealed, is
Mhm.
because of their arrogance, and so um, I think like I grew up in a Sunni household. Did you? I'm not sure if
Yes,
you're.
I did. I did.
Yeah, and so I'm sure you went through the same thing where like you were firm in your convictions, and but when you started seeing these signs, it kind of like it gave you that uncomfortable feeling. But at that point, you kind of reach a crossroads where you got to decide one way or another, right?
Right.
And it takes a lot. It takes a lot to like I struggled with this for a while, but it takes a lot to be like I got to put aside what that feels comfortable and go with what feels right.
Right.
And
Exactly. And it's about standing for the truth. And yes, that's at the very beginning of the journey. It's like the amount of resistance that you get truly makes you wonder on how far people are into their craziness, man.
yeah, exactly. Honestly, I commend you, bro. You're doing a great job. You're very brave, mashallah. And
Brother, God
I pray
protects me, man.
exactly. You know what? Once you fear God alone, then you don't care. Like let
Nothing.
whoever comes say whatever. Like
Nothing. Brother,
you
if
know
they physically hurt me, they beat me. They like I won. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
I win. And if they sit and argue with me, I'm winning. And if somebody accepts what is being said by God, I'm winning. So there is no option in this where I lose.
It's a win-win situation. Exactly.
As God says in the Quran, like are you holding are you just like being persistent with us while we're
Mm,
waiting the two goods, al-husnain, either death or honor. Like that's like either martyrdom or honor. There's or victory, you see?
mhm.
And both ends is a win. And it's the same situation here. And it's just that
Yeah, like
certainty. But God shows you the sign when you start to truly
it's
just
so
trust
it's
him.
so it's so obvious. Like it's clearly written, and it says, "Do not become sectarian." Like how hard is that to understand? And like why are Sunnis and Shias been killing each other throughout history by the millions? Like it makes no sense. Like we're supposed to be all Muslims and brotherhood, right? So
Yeah.
clearly there needs to be like a uniting here against a greater enemy, but I'm hoping like that like people finally start waking up, inshallah. Making dua for that. And I'll just leave it by saying, oh yeah, regarding the previous subject with the prayers,
Hmm.
I agree with you that there's like the three like
Main
main prayers, because
actual
those are
prayers.
the right, like the quote unquote capitalized, like mentioned by name by God, right?
Right.
um, I think I kind of based on my. I'll send you the article that I've been following. On I think I have you on Telegram. I'll double check.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, I want you to read that and get back to me. But it basically says that the Salatul Wusta is actually at the like the cycle is based on the sun. So when this says the middle prayer, it means when the sun is at its middle point in the sky. And I know you have a great argument too, and I'm interested in hearing your. I just heard your side, right? But
Mm.
I want you to see this one as well. Um, and what's it called? So you were saying there's other times. I know the God mentions other times
Times of
to.
glorification. It's not times of
Yeah,
prayer. So for me, I'm talking. So I have absolutely no problem standing the 6 times. It makes sense, but not in a prayer. in a time of glorification. And the way that I glorify is I do take the time off from whatever I'm doing to dedicate it to God, and it's not as extensive as a prayer. It's not wrong to do that. Actually, it's recommended to do that. It's because then you're still in constant talking and connecting to
Exactly.
God.
You know,
But
like it makes no sense for people to say that like it would make no sense for God to not want us to pray at any time or remember him at any time, right?
right, but
But
he designed the system and so that the
mm.
sun is helping you to conquer your day, and that's the time he wants you to work and strive for him. While the
But he
night
does
is
mention regarding that, since you mentioned that, isn't there a verse that says like where it's mentioning commerce, like the busy time, and he
yep,
says, "Oh, it's better for you to leave
go
it
for
and
the
pray."
remembrance of God.
So
Correct.
wouldn't the busiest time, I don't know about back then, but wouldn't the busiest time be around noon and not the start of the day?
Not in their time, because that would be the hottest time. So it's the time of congregation is when the people are coming together to trade. For us, trade, the market is open 24 hours technically, or throughout the whole day. For them, it was not the case. They did not set up shop or they had a time when they would come together and trade. And at that point, yes, we, as a congregation, we should sit and reflect on the verses of God together or pray. So this is a societal instruction as us as a society that we upkeep. There isn't a single way of doing it. And that's not something that where it's a daily course, but rather it's when you guys are meeting is when that needs to be done. See what I mean?
Mm, mm. Okay, yeah. No, you're making some great points. I'll hit you up on Telegram. I'll send you that link, and we'll go from there, inshallah. Thank you so much for your time, brother.
May God bless you, bro.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Can you hear me now?
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. There's a lot of background noise, brother.
Yeah, sorry, I'm in the car, and for whatever reason, I'm still here.
You,
Oh,
there you
I
go.
had the YouTube open. Yeah, sorry, is the car noise too bad? So I can just drop.
No, that's fine. What's going on, bro?
Because I was really just coming up to say hi and whatnot. I was getting real frustrated with
Ryan?
our submitter brother there, dude. That was rough.
Bro, he was trying to force his narrative at any cost. At any cost. They really think they have an argument when there isn't. Like they're trying to twist the verses of God when it's not there, bro.
Yeah, dude. I like at one point I was in the comments yelling at you. I was like, dude, just stick to the Arabic, bro.
Right.
He's gonna keep playing this ends game. And I was like,
I,
if you just drop the end,
mm.
then what's he gonna do? But honestly, like that was before I noticed he was a
I remembered his
Navidian.
name. I truly remembered his name, like Ryan. I was like, but I remember. I was like, did he? I had a feeling that at one time I even clipped him. I have a feeling like there's a clip of him somewhere. Me thinking he was a Sunni, but all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute. I seen a Naveed in the. I seen a Naveed in the like the thing sitting saying join my Discord, join my Discord. I blocked him, and then all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute. This guy is a submitter, isn't he? And I figured that out after I dropped him. If I was there, bro, I was gonna ask him a few questions about his prayer. Where does it say it's haram to read the Quran in your prayer?
Yeah, dude. I eventually like I don't know why it took me so long to think of it. I clicked on Ryan's like profile, and in his bio he has Naveed's server up there. So I was like, oh, dude, it's over.
Yeah,
Like I don't know.
yeah, those
For
people.
whatever reason, I thought it was Hussam because of his like voice. I feel like their
No,
voices kind
I
of.
I can find Hussam instantly. That man is also. Anyways, those people, I hope. Look, so the people that are normal in the submitters group, they don't usually come up debate and do this like this type of style. But Naveed in his group is just out there, man.
Yeah, no, dude, I was in like a Discord VC one day with a brother who's in our Telegram group, Shahram,
Mm,
right? I don't know if you've ever seen him in there, but he's like, for a while, he was kind of like on the fence, right? Where he was hanging out with the the submitters for a while because he thought there was something to the code 19, but he wasn't sure about some of the extra stuff and like what Naveed was teaching. But dude, the way Naveed operates, bro, he sees me in this Discord. It was just me and Shahram sitting in the Discord having a good conversation, and Naveed drops in and he's over here just like trying to berate me with questions and whatnot. And then eventually Brother Armor ended up joining, and he's talking about, do you guys pray in front of a mirror? He said, all Quranists worship their own ego. I was like, dude, this guy is
That guy is
tapped,
weird,
bro.
man. Yeah, he's in a cult. But anyways, that weird people. But all praise to God. At least God rescued us from falling into that trap.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for whoever is calling who are the submitters, there's a group. They call themselves a submitter, and they just because they want to move away from the Romanized Arabic words like Muslim, but they follow this man that they call Rashad Khalifa. His name is Rashad Khalifa, who what's it called? Like he calls himself a messenger, and he came up with all these interpretations that a lot of people cannot comprehend because it's not based on truth or reason. And he went as far as removing 2 verses from the Quran. So I follow the messenger.
Yeah. The only reason I call them submitters is because they'll tell you a submitter isn't a Muslim. So like they've taken this English word as like a sectarian label, right, to distinguish themselves from the rest of us.
Right, but they use other Arabic words.
Yeah, no, their methodology is completely bankrupt, bro. They're completely inconsistent, like on, and like
they don't use the word Muslim. They're not Muslims, but they'll use the word Shahada.
Yeah, dude, I really don't get it, man. And I don't know how tapped in you are to like what they got going on, but a while back they had their own little split.
Yeah,
you know. So now they have two sects within their sect. It's
right. That's my argument. Next time Naveed comes, I'm gonna be like, hey, like, how's Alban doing? Is he a submitter? No, he's not a submitter. He's a kafir. Okay, what about Alban's group? Okay, that's all. What about Peter's group? Oh, they're kafirs too. Okay, so whose interpretation is right? Is it Alban, yours, or is his? Oh, well, no, you know what?
It's only Naveed's, bro.
It's
To Naveed is the only, him and everybody who follows him obediently, they're the only submitters.
Naveed is a Zionist who thinks that the Palestinians are supposed to be destroyed. He thinks that the Quran supports Zionism, that God has promised the Zionists the land so they're allowed to do whatever they want. He's a man that truly hates Arabs. He thinks that no Arab is capable of being guided. He believes that the people in the Gulf are all damned. He believes that everyone's in the Gulf. He knows at what year the hour is going to come. And he is a person that is just full of hate, and he doesn't know anything in regards to what the Quran actually preaches. Thank you, Hilal.
Yeah, dude, he's a trip, man. And like one of my biggest issues with them is they like straight up throw the Arabic Quran under the bus.
Well, I mean, I got a lot of pushback when I made that video about Naveed. A lot of the other submitters, they were like, "Bro, we don't accept Naveed. He's not a submitter. Stop using him. Stop embarrassing us because of him. You know, we don't think that. We think that the Quran is Trump. What he's saying is just complete nonsense." So a lot of people, they disassociated from that statement. But I mean, go buckle that dog up, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I've been in conversation with a handful of like people from the other like sects within them, and most of them are still seemingly of the opinion that like the Arabic Quran doesn't matter as long as you got Rashad's translation, it's all good.
They won't say it that way, but yeah, you're right.
And then like you know, when you start diving into his translation, it's so like inconsistent, and it's like there's just so many issues with it. So it's like, I don't know how someone could say you just like can disregard the
Arabic Quran.
Arabic. You know what I mean?
Right. So,
It's
guys,
nonsense.
you guys, whoever's asking about Rashad, I have on my YouTube channel my latest video. It's not like the recent video, but it's the latest one here. I'll put it up here for you guys to check it out. And also on my YouTube so you guys can see. It's called Deluded by Grandeur. Okay. And it's on my channel, Muhammad from God on YouTube. Okay. So this explains to you like who Rashad is, why it's not possible for this man to be a messenger, and all the lies and all the craziness that he had to like come up trying to prove himself. So it has his prophecies and all of these other things that he did. And when you guys start to venture into the Quran alone group in the movement, the recent movement that we're going through right now, and you can see how it's expanding very quickly, all praise to God, you're gonna eventually hear about Rashad, Naveed, Rashad and specifically Naveed, and Submitters group. And it's just people that you want to be a little careful from.
Remind me, because I know you've done more research than I have into them. When did he like publicly make his claim?
At the like 2 years before he was put to rest, but
And
he believed it from the early of the 80s. Just give me 1 second. I got someone here saying something. How do they conceal verses? By changing means of words like hawa, emotions, and riba, which is renting. We have to create wealth, not fall for their distortions. Don't oppress or be oppressed. Riba profits through oppression. Thank you, Days for the support. I do agree to a certain degree that they do change the meanings of the words. I would not necessarily put renting in riba, but some form of renting is oppressive, and that's why there's some truth to what you're saying, but not. I wouldn't say renting means riba.
so the only reason I ask is because to me that's like a pretty damning sign. He makes a public proclamation and shortly
gone.
thereafter he's gone.
Against the Son of God.
I mean, maybe it was a mercy on him, to be honest, because the longer our Lord left him, the worse his situation would get. But
so here's where this is my actual position, and I've said this many years before, and I still stick to it. The man was deluded, the man was off course, but the man genuinely wanted to make a difference. Okay, I truly believe that he was not intending to like delude people. I think he was intending to do good. And I think when he was unalive, the way that he was, it was a mercy out of God on that man. So on the day of judgment, he might have later in the future changed his position, but that was taken away from him. So maybe that works for his benefit. But I truly think that he was starting to realize that maybe he was over in his head, especially because of all the lies that he kept saying.
well, hey, bro, I won't take up more of your time.
I gotta go anyways, bro. I love hearing from you, man.
Always, brother. We need to get a call in one of these days.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
Right, yak.
Assalamu alaikum.
Peace. Peace. All right, brothers and sisters, we are coming to the end of the show. It is early in the morning. I do have to stuff my face, eat some water, drink some food, and then prepare myself, pray a little bit as well, reflect, think about what God has been telling us. I hope this was beneficial for those that are either starting their journey or even knees deep in their journey. Guys, the reliance of God can only lead to good things. We just have to be able to be patient, to persevere, to be steadfast, to stand in front of opposition in a way that is meaningful, to try to give people chances as long as we can endure. But there are certain times as well, a good way is to depart and to, stay away for a little bit and to allow God to let the people allow God to judge the people how God wants to judge them. We are just simply transmitting the message. We're just simply people who are representation of what God is saying. We are not people who are judging. We are not people who are executioners, nor are we people who are going to be divisive. What we're supposed to do is truly live up to what God wants us to be. And if only half the world, not even a quarter of the world, did what God wanted us to do, this place would be in such a better place. And then we would have the protections and the supports and the resources and the tools that God has already given us. And God's truth is always going to be truth, and there's no changing to that. And when God says that the believers are the successful, that success is what the believers are. The believers are the successful. Those who stand their prayers, those that hold on to their trusts, or like they're careful over their trusts, the ones that are upright with their testimonies, those that are fearful when they hear the verses of God, those that are shaken when God is mentioned, those that are certain of the hereafter, those that are aware of what God has ordered, those that follow the best of what was given, those that like to show forgiveness, those that try to conceal their anger, those that love God with all their heart. Those are truly the successful ones. Whatever I listed, it might seem a lot, but it is exactly who you are as a human being. That's who you were as a child. When God first made you, when you were born into this world, you were innocent, you were naive, you were full of wonder, you were full of excitement, and you were full of love. Nobody looks at a baby, at a young kid when he's starting to walk and think that that baby's evil. We're made into being that. We change into doing that. We start to accept the lies, and we start to accept the falsehood, and we start to change what God has ordered us to be. There is a verse that comes to mind from the New Testament, or maybe even the Old Testament, I'm not sure, but it says that the peacemakers are the ones who are going to be inheriting the heaven, or blessed are the peacemakers, for what they say they are the children of God. I don't like the term, but rather they are the ones who are like the ones that are going to, or only the children enter heaven, is more so the one that I was also thinking about, the childlike. And this is truly what's amazing about this Quran, is you get to feel like a man. You get to truly find your position, your solidity. You find your discipline. You find the ability to conquer, but you still have that childlike love and innocence that you have with your Lord, despite your sins and your mistakes. It's like a kid doing something he's not supposed to do. God admonishes him, and then it's going back to the love and the care, because the child knew that it's not to do that again. He just wants to go back to the happiness and the love that only God can truly provide. So I hope you guys are enjoying these, and I truly hope that you guys can open your eyes to see that we are at a time where it seems that the tradition of God is very close. Either a whole superpower is about to disappear slowly from our eyes, and there's going to be new inheritors, or it could be the end of the road. And when this superpower is disappearing, or if it is the end of the road, we just don't want to be people saying, God, I was of the oppressors, please give me another chance. Or I wish I had another chance so I don't waste my whole life like I did. And that's the whole purpose of these episodes and these shows. It's not to try to attack Sunnis per se, or to put people down, or for me to have strength or to be popular. It is for you not to regret your decisions on the day of judgment. And from what God has shown me in the Quran, and from what I'm reading, I see you in a lot more regrets than what you're trying to paint on me. I'm very, very well aware of God's word, while when I try to discuss it with you, it doesn't seem like you know what God said. So with that said, peace, my brothers and sisters, and hopefully we can unite on better terms. Salam.